I'm ready to go.
Hey, welcome back to another episode of Collector's Quest. I'm Tyler here with Johnny. Johnny, what's going on? Everything's better with me.
Everything's better? Life is improving?
No, not really. I'm still pretty busy. Just my audio setup, since I installed OpenSUSE and Windows was having problems with... I have this fancy audio interface, and like the biggest selling point of it is that it outputs 32-bit audio rather than 24-bit, and that means that I could yell or I could be really quiet, and it gets the full range of audio, so I'm never ever clipping. It's impossible to clip it. I could, an explosion could go off and it wouldn't clip it. But for some reason, it just doesn't work with Windows, and we've had like podcasts where I spend a half hour fucking with my audio interface before we actually get to start the show, and it's always because I tried turning on the 32-bit audio and I forgot about it, and then something ends up fucking up. So now I've switched platforms. Now everything's great, Johnny. I should sound better than ever.
Okay. Yeah, you sound great to me.
Johnny, you ever installed Linux before?
I did once when I was younger and more patient and thought that was important.
So, yes, I did too in college. I briefly ran Ubuntu.
Get that Ubuntu. Get there.
Yeah. And now Ubuntu's like basically like the Windows of Linux. Like they send telemetry back to like Ubuntu headquarters, and it runs all this stuff. It's like, isn't the point to like get away from all this and have like your fancy freedom open source kind of life?
That's why we were doing it before.
Yeah. But I mean, I remember like when you were running Ubuntu, like there were all these like desktop, like these whiz bang features. Like, I don't know, when you minimize a window, like it would shake itself down in an animation down to the toolbar, just like things that made it look cooler than Windows. But yeah, you're right. It was a pain in the ass to set up. Even like the simplest thing like Ubuntu, you couldn't send to your mom to run it and say like, here, this will stop you from getting all viruses, because all you do is get viruses, and I need my inheritance to still be there when you die. And I'm happy to say, Johnny, that it has been basically 15 years since I've ever tried running Linux on the desktop, and it's still like a pain in the ass for like a bunch of things break and you have to Google everything. I was hoping that I would just like click the installer, everything goes great, everything, like all my drivers work, and I could just send this to my mom and say like, here mom, stop getting viruses. And that is just absolutely not the case.
Do you know what stopped me from getting viruses and all the dumb stuff?
What?
Really, it was not downloading illegal bullshit anymore.
I mean, yes, sure.
Just like, oh, I'm paying for things now, and weirdly, I haven't had any problems.
Yeah, paying for things is a really good idea. I'm happy everyone can pirate the Collector's Quest podcast, because I deserve it pirating so many things as a kid.
This is not like advocacy, like, you wouldn't steal a car, would you? Like, that's not what this is. This is not me up on a high horse. I'm just saying, as I got older, I was like, I guess I can afford to pay for this stuff. I'm in a different place now. Sure. And now that I have, it also could be that, time marched on and things just got better at the same time as my income was going up, so I don't notice.
So, I mean, I think that
could be both these things.
That might be it for you and me.
Yeah.
Because I remember like when, was it like 10, 15 years ago, I would run programs like Spybot Search and Destroy, because I had to be like actively worried about things like spyware and viruses. And now it's like
all the time,
like people have like Windows Defender, and you just have basic internet skills, and you're like, yeah, I don't get viruses anymore. That's not like a thing I worry about. But then you go to an old person's computer, you go to like your parents' computer, and it's just like, what happened? Like, what did you click? Like, you don't do anything on the internet. Where did this garbage come from? How is there a program that is launching pop-up windows? Like, how did you install this? What are these things in the system tray? Like,
did they buy their computer from like Compaq USA or something? What happened?
I just don't know. This has been a thing with my grandparents when they were alive, and like, if I like went on my parents' laptop, I'd be like, what are these programs? You could do everything now in a web browser. Why do you even have programs? Just don't install programs.
This, like, before my dad died, like, it would be like every couple of months I'd have to go in there and just wipe everything.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know if it's just like common spelling errors that people who, proliferate malware, like prey on that, and they're just not looking hard. I don't understand what happens. They'll just click on any website though. The first one, the sponsored one.
Oh, 100%. That drives me nuts.
Yeah. Just, speaking of, like, if you haven't tried OpenAI yet, they have like some interfaces now that you can put into like, any of your search browsers, and it will give you like summaries when you type in a search there before even going to a website. So good.
It is. AI is terrifying, and it's gonna eat all my information, Johnny. But man, like speaking of like having Linux problems, like usually, I mean, everything ever is documented on a forum or Stack Overflow or something. But man, you type a Linux problem into ChatGPT, it just gives you like the 3 command line commands you need to run to fix your problem. I'm just like, hey, I'm running OpenSUSE and I got this error message. It's like, oh, let me explain exactly what's happening. And you won't have to deal with like people getting mad in the forum or
calling you a noob. Hey, use the search feature. Yeah.
Fucking God. I'll click in the first Google link and it's like, oh, why don't you just Google this? It's like, fuck you. I got here from Google. Welcome. You're at the top result of Google now. And now you look like an asshole, don't you?
Yep. Anyways.
Video games.
So you're running Linux because you're trying to be a cyber hermit.
Yes. Very much trying to be a cyber hermit. Sorry. I've also been busy with...
That's a trademark phrase. I just made that up.
No, it's a good thing. Yeah, Cyber Hermit is pretty good. I want to use computers and the internet less, Johnny. I don't want to interact with people less. I'm doing this to have more meaningful relationships with the people I actually want to have relationships and talk to. So
we should just call each other on the phone.
We should call each other. No, we should see each other in real life, Johnny.
Oh, well, we live far away.
All right, we should call each other on the phone. But no, I literally have your birthday and your anniversary saved somewhere, which I gleaned off Facebook, of course. And I'm going to actually have to like put that in my personal calendar and remind you happy birthday, because I'm not going to have Facebook just be like, oh, it's Johnny's birthday. Let me click like on his happy birthday thing, because that feels like I did something, Johnny, but we didn't have a meaningful interaction there. So now
it's true.
I have to go out of my way to wish you a happy birthday. So all the people I love will hopefully feel more of it. And all the people that I didn't really love I'll disappear from their life entirely.
Whoops.
Yeah.
Sorry. Like, oh, I guess that means, yep, it means what you think it means. Aren't that important?
I don't know. I mean, I there's plenty of people in like the Facebook groups and stuff that I like, but like didn't like have meaningful conversations with outside of the group. I mean, I'll miss some of that stuff, but I don't know. I spend too much time on social media.
You still have Discord. Welcome to your journey to cyber hermitness. Anything else you want to throw in there? Did you keep on talking about Linux and drive away the rest of the audience?
No, what do you got going on, Johnny?
Nothing. It's the plague has been beset upon my house. I mean, I think you realized last time we recorded, I don't know if you've edited that episode, but like all the coughing I was doing through like the last 2. Finally like over that, but then JD got sick and then my wife got sick. And it's just been it's been like you get kids and they just bring home plague. So yeah, we just dealt with that. It's been real fun.
I just want you to know my least favorite thing to talk about is being sick. When we start a show, you think like Linux is going to drive everyone away? Like talking about like phlegm and like coughing.
I didn't go into any of the detail. I just said, hey, we were sick.
I know you were sick, but sometimes, you get on a conversation, on a podcast with someone and they're like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm sick. And my voice sounds terrible. And like, oh, just got all this nasal stuff happening. And then as soon as they mention it, like all I could think about the entire show is like, oh yeah, that guy sounds sick. Why are they recording a podcast right now? I have a 3-hour drive to make and now I got to listen to this guy sounding like this. So everyone who's recording podcasts when they're sick, just cut it out because Tyler's going to skip it.
Just skip it. I mean, I'm sure people do that to us. People are already like, they're probably measuring our voices right now. They're like, he said sick. How sick? Am I out? Am I out? We're fine. We're good now. We're good. We were just at a birthday party. I want you to know that we were so committed to recording Collector's Quest that when they changed the length of the birthday, I said, oh, I already have plans to record, so I got to go home. I made my son miss birthday cake and singing happy birthday, and he cried. So
are you
that's
serious?
My dedication.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
What?
Mm-hmm.
Johnny, this show is not that important.
It's a family birthday, and they changed the time. Like, I'm not like, look, it was already gonna be 8:00 when we left before, and they're like, hey, now maybe 9:30. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, I gotta get this boy home anyways. Like, we got nighttime
that seems
routines.
Late. How old was the birthday person?
My aunt. And my cousin, who's my age, so 44 and like 65.
Okay,
So they're
I
going to
thought
be
this
all
was
right.
like a JD's like peer or friend
No,
or someone
no,
his
no,
age
no.
kind of thing. First of all, I'm
No,
like, why is
no.
his birthday going so late? But all right, that makes more sense.
No. Those are like in the sun on the weekend. I mean, it's the weekend, but like in a park, not like, yeah. No.
Okay.
But he loves singing happy birthday. And he also doesn't like cake, so there's no real loss there. Everyone's like, oh, he'll love the cake. I'm going to give it to him. I'm like, he doesn't eat cake. I'm telling you. And like, oh, we know better. And then he's like, no, thank you. And they're like, but kids love cake. And then they get sad that he won't eat their cake.
Doesn't like cake. Are you like raising him right? Like not giving him sugar and all that?
No, dude, he just super picky. Like,
Okay.
I would give, he's literal skin and bones, Tyler. I am so fat and he is so bony. It is upsetting. Like, you just see all of his ribs and stuff. I can't get enough food into him. If he would eat cake, I'd be spoon feeding him it right now. Like, if he said, Dad, I want to slam this whole bucket of ice cream, I'd be like, no, that's not a healthy choice. We're not going to do that. He loves gummy worms and I won't let him have more than like 3 gummy worms in a day. But like, really, it is troubling how much he doesn't want to eat anything.
I mean, hey, if you get fat as a kid, it can be a problem later in life, Johnny. I can't really attest to that because I got fat when I got lazy and employed. So what am I talking about?
I was a fat kid. Still
happening. My friend has a kid and is like, no internet, no TV, no video games, no sugar, and like the kid's happy. The kid has everything he could ever want. Is a very outdoorsy kid, like has a billion toys. And I just know she's going to grow up and just be like an amazing, healthy, well-adjusted person. Probably is not going to have like social media accounts and stuff. And I'm jealous of that life because...
You're jealous?
Like, I wish I didn't love cake. If I grew up on like 100% vegetables and no sweets and I was just like, everything tastes too sweet like here, that would be amazing. But I just want to go downstairs right now, skip this podcast, and go find a cake, Johnny. That sounds like amazing to me.
You're like, I would love some cake, actually.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm not super into cake. Cake is all right. I would rather have ice cream than cake.
Weird take. Donuts
really,
are the best thing.
Are you cake over ice cream?
Oh, 100%. You know what? If you give it to me, I want both. I want the ice cream on top.
No. We're in a hellscape, and you only get
cake,
one.
100% cake.
Cake over ice cream?
Ice cream. Like, I'm not a huge dairy guy. Like, ice cream's good, but
okay.
Dairy's
pie or cake.
Cake. Oh, I want that buttercream frosting, and I'm gonna take the slice that's like 50% frosting. Like, give me that corner slice where there's like a little bit of cake, and it's just like all frosting.
I love candy, and you're making my teeth hurt.
Yeah, this is the problem. Because I developed a taste for it when I was probably 6 years old, and to this day, I'm just gonna take that corner piece that's all frosting.
Oh,
whereas
man.
My wife had like a different. She grew up with a different palate, and she would not take that same slice of cake because it's too sweet. I wish it was too sweet for me.
Okay, so were you eat frosting out of the can, kid?
I was not. But as an adult, there have been some weeks, Johnny.
Oh, man. Oh, man. That's the dark side of life. Hate some frosting straight from the
This is
container.
The previous me. Again, we're having a better me. We're trying to be healthier in every aspect this year, Johnny.
All right. That's awesome. I'm glad you admitted it. That's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Still eat peanut butter from the jar, though. Peanut butter.
Peanut butter's great. Like, let's not get confused here. Like, peanut butter is good. Okay. Well, Tyler, now that we've gone on and on about a bunch of nonsense, I guess we should get to the dessert portion of this podcast. Now that we've gone through the main course, let's get to talking about games. You want to talk about some games with me?
Yeah, Johnny. Let's talk about the most collectible games, Nintendo games, the games that everybody loves, and not the games that everyone forgets about.
How about we don't do that?
Oh, interesting. Interesting take.
Okay, I want to talk about maybe instead continuing our series of games you would start your collection with, the first 10. So the first 10 to start your collection with, but let's not do a Nintendo console. Hey, let's maybe talk about the Sega Genesis.
Johnny, the Sega Genesis is really good.
Is it?
Yes. The Sega
Okay.
Genesis is really good, Johnny. No, I feel like I don't know what my stance on the Sega Genesis has been in the past. Have I been down on the Sega Genesis at all?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's not rounded. I do like an RPG. I do like a dungeon crawler. And yeah, sure. I mean, yes, it's got
a couple
of
couple
those.
really good ones.
I mean, yes, even the N64 has RPG. Well, N64 doesn't have good ones.
No.
I like games with save batteries. So growing up on the Sega Genesis, literally every game I had was a game that you start over when you turn off the console. And then I go over to my friend's house and they have Nintendo and Super Nintendo, and like half of their games have batteries, and I just thought that was the coolest thing. So there is a very
adventure, and you are just starting from the beginning, the splash screen each time.
Yeah. It is how I play games now. Like that's how I prefer. Like I just want to load up a game I've played 10 million times, just blow through Ninja Gaiden, and that's my gaming experience. But back then I had so much time to kill. I would have loved the progression. Because getting good I wasn't getting good at games, as a kid. I was just playing games because I was bored. And the idea of trying to actively get better at a game just wasn't a thing I considered. And there are so many like shooters and stuff on the Genesis, like games that are meant to be played. Like here's an hour-long video game, get good at it and play it over and over, that I identify with the Sega Genesis more now than I did as a kid.
Interesting. Yeah, I think I identify with it maybe a little better than I did as a kid. Definitely more than I did as like a teenager and stuff. But probably my stance hasn't changed too much. Pretty good. I'm going to say Genesis is now trending towards underrated as younger people enter the hobby and just have zero Fs for the Genesis. I would say the popularity is maybe trending a little down and it's underrated now, but Genesis is still a great console.
I think I agree with that. I've talked to at least a couple people who say like younger generation. So like I'm like 33 or something. You're like 43 or something. I don't know, something like that.
44.
But yeah, people in like their 20s, I think just don't care about Genesis. And I've heard that from a couple people.
Yeah. I mean, especially when you can buy the Genesis collection and just get like most of the good games.
I mean, so there's that. Yeah, I mean, the Genesis collections they have now are super good, but there's that, and there's like when I was trying to think of the top 10 games to get for a Sega Genesis, it does not have the issue of like a Nintendo or a Super Nintendo where it's like, what am I going to do? There's all these like absolutely uncuttable franchises like Metroid and Zelda and Mario and the other good Mario and Kirby. Like Kirby's not going to make it, but you know what I mean. When you go to Genesis, it's like
going to be samesies.
Yeah, and it's like you get to Genesis and like, yeah, there's going to be Sonic games on our lists. Just I'm going to spoil that in advance. But then, like after Sonic, what is there that's like absolutely bona fide? History will remember this type game. There's a lot of good games, but like Dynamite Heady's a great game. It's not going to be remembered by history. Rocket Knight's a great game. People will remember it as like, oh, top 25 Sega Genesis games of all time. But in a historical context, Rocket Knight is just a great platformer. There's nothing that carried forward from it.
Let me ask you, did you do any research on that, or is that just your personal feeling? And no, this is not me baiting you.
What research? How am I going to do research on that?
Well, I did. Well, like, because I went through and I made my list, and then I was like, I came to the same conclusion you did, and I'm like, let me go around the internet and look at like top 20, top 50 lists, and there's like zero consensus. Like you said, there's like, it's not like a Nintendo list. If you look at a Nintendo like NES like top 10 list, you know what you're gonna find. If you put that same criteria in for Sega Genesis, you're not getting the same list over and over again.
I'll agree with that. That's definitely very true. Like some lists definitely trend more towards like the rarer, more niche games. Like you'll see like Troubleshooter on a list, or you'll see like Elemental Master on a list. And I feel like those type of games on like Nintendo lists, like, I mean, sometimes you might see like a Hagane on a Super Nintendo list, but probably not. You're going to see all the Nintendo franchises.
Right. So for those who don't know, we take and we just try and find the 10 games that we would start our collection with. Tyler and I don't necessarily have the same criteria. It's just if we were starting over, this is what we'd do. I've got a big list. We've done a few other episodes on this. I think we've done Nintendo and Super Nintendo, right? on this. I don't think we've done any other ones yet, but I have it like panned out. I've got Genesis, Saturn, Dreamcast, PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2. Like I have a bunch of these that I eventually want to do as just like, hey, what would we do? But I also have Next 10, and like for some systems, I even have Next 10, because I think like a Nintendo, if you really want to get into the nitty gritty of what a list looks like, you got to go at least 30 down. Genesis, you could get 30 down. GameCube, do you get 30 down or 20 down? N64, what does that look like? So there's just a series of episodes that will do that. I don't know if we will always do the next 10 for every system. Maybe those might be bonus episodes. But that's what
sense.
These are. What's that?
Yeah, that makes sense. If some of them are just bonus episodes, like we don't need.
Yeah. Like we just do like a quick one for our patrons. But this is our first 10 that we would start with. These aren't in any particular order. I think you rated yours in order, but mine are not in that kind of order at all. I just threw them on there because it doesn't really matter. Like, because holistically, you're walking into someone's room and you're seeing 10 games on a shelf. And then we also put in bonus picks. We put 3 bonus picks in for this one, which is like, okay, you're a seasoned collector already. What are some cool collectory items that maybe you would get? Like maybe that lunar doll, like, is something you want to definitely, nope. Just kidding.
You just got to get the lunar doll, Earthbound, and give me one more thing to put on the shelf, John.
The PS2 Digital Devil.
Yes! Oh, wait, no. Okay, yes, that's also a good one. I thought you were going to say the LED light with the shapes that everyone has on Instagram.
Oh, yeah.
That'll be another good one.
Get your microphone in the background and tell me you're an influencer. Got it.
All right, Johnny, I have a question before we start. Well, let's actually, before we start, what was your goal with this list? So,
okay. Yeah, because we do come at them with different goals. Like
yes.
Nintendo, so this one, I made it a little more personal, but I did want to have a round list. I did not want to have overlap. Like, I did not want any cross-platform games, even if the games are different. I didn't want you to see a title that was a Super Nintendo title as well. That was my goal for this one.
Oh, we'll fight about that then. Okay.
I'm not saying that that's wrong. Like, I definitely have some later lists, but for the first 10, I wanted it just to be like, the Genesis. These are the ones you would only find on the Genesis, even if you would find, TMT or Batman, the animated series, if you'd find that on both systems. They're good games. Even if they're not the same, I just wanted to keep that off for now. So that was kind of a little caveat I put in for myself.
Okay.
What about you? What was your goal?
I tried to, the top of my list is the bona fide classics that I think are the cornerstone of a Genesis collection, Johnny. And then I mixed up genres. I tried to pick kind of like the best example of each genre that is a combination of really good game and then also really collectible. And that's overlaps pretty well, I think. Just to get, I'm going to spoil an example from your list, though, Johnny. Gunstar Heroes is a game I would consider, I'm just going to say, it's more collectible than good. Gunstar Heroes is a good game. I think Gunstar Heroes is probably a little bit overrated. It's not the greatest run and gun shooter I've ever played. Everyone can fight me on that. I don't care. Anyway, in my opinion, that's how it would be. So I went for a different game in that genre, because if I was just picking the most collectible games that makes your shelf look the coolest, I would have picked a Gunstar Heroes.
Okay. Yeah. And so, we'll get in, like, I have some interesting looks for your list. Like, I've got some questions on why you put some on, because I know, like, you personally don't like them. So that was interesting that you did that. Gunstar Heroes is a game that I actually personally like. But also it was up against one of the games on your list, also because I did want to fill out a couple of different genres. I'm sure you can identify the game that it would be running up against on yours. So I'm glad we aren't exactly the same here.
So one thing that neither of us did was think about what history would remember from the Genesis. And Sonic, people are going to remember Sonic. Sure. That's a thing. Well,
when we talked about it, how many games did we pull from the Genesis? Like Sonic, and we couldn't even pick which was the right one. We just had to say Sonic with, air quotes.
Exactly. Yes. But like in the future, like, yes, there are so many great platformers, great shooters, great arcade games, great things like that. But like, I'm trying to think of if people are looking at this from like a purely academic sense in like an interest in what the Sega Genesis did, does a game like Herzog's Zwei become like a top 10 most remembered Genesis game for like being important to the real-time strategy genre? Or am I just completely crazy town and people are just gonna remember
think
Rocket
you're crazy.
Knight? Okay.
I think you're crazy town, and like especially because that game used to be like a lot more popular 10 years ago, and I haven't heard anyone even talk to me about it in at least 10 years.
See, like, I don't think anyone cares about the game, but like in the future, no one will care about the gameplay of any of these games. So all that's going to matter is historical importance. And I feel like that is one of the more historically important Genesis games, even if people don't care about it.
I don't disagree. I'm just saying people are going to struggle to remember it because they're like, even as it's still like kind of collectible. It was like one of these games early in the Genesis collecting. It was up there with like Musha as one of the collectible games and and one of the unique games. And people still talk to me about Musha, but no one talks to me about Herzog's Wise. So, yeah, I'm curious.
Okay. Can I spoil a few games that aren't on our list that I think probably have a better chance of being remembered by history? So, Mortal Kombat series, specifically 1 and 2. Yeah, and I know 3 is good. I don't know how good the Genesis port of 3 is. But Mortal Kombat is not on our list, but that'll definitely be remembered by history. NBA Jam is not on our list, but that'll probably be remembered by history. I think definitely. And
those are later. I have those on later lists.
Okay. I've never investigated like the progression of sports games, but NHL 94 is like a bona fide classic. All the NHL games are good. It's not just 94, like 95 and 97 are ones I've played that are also really good. But is NHL 94 like a revolution in hockey games?
I think it was. I'm not exactly sure, but NHL 94, I don't know if that was just the one everyone had or what. Like, I know the difference on the NBA Jam because there's NBA Jam and then Tournament Edition. The difference on Tournament Edition is that's when they finally got licensed NBA names on it before, like, rather than bad imposter names. Like, finally, this was like, oh, licensed characters. Like, oh my God, I can be the real people from the Sonics, not just, I forget the fake name that they had for him, but it was pretty funny. Go check it out.
All right. You know what? If we're talking about in the future history, I bet NHL 94 is not remembered. As good as NHL 94 is, it's not a Mortal Kombat, obviously.
And I don't know if NBA Jam will be remembered. And if it is, I think it will probably be more remembered on the arcade because it was such a
Mortal Kombat 2. It'll have like some cross contamination with the Genesis because it's popular on both platforms.
Right. And it was like a revelation that Mortal Kombat came and it had blood on the Genesis and all that. But there was a legal case about it. So maybe time remembers it simply because it was brought up in court. Thanks, Joe Lieberman.
Fuck Joe Lieberman.
Yep.
I could say that because he was my congressman.
We can all say it because man, he talked a lot of bullshit. Anyways,
as someone who would, all right, never mind. I'm not going to get into politics.
No, thank you.
Johnny, what's the first game on your list?
Fuck that guy. It
makes more sense for me to start. Johnny, what's the first game on my list?
I don't know. Why don't you read it? It's
Johnny,
your game.
Okay, here we go. This is not in order, by the way, but realistically, it's in order. Johnny, have you heard of Sonic the Hedgehog?
Never heard of it.
1 is not a great game. And we have said that multiple times on this podcast. Maybe you have more reverence for this game than I do.
I don't have more reverence for 1. I prefer 2. Look at my list.
I mean, obviously. Yeah, everyone prefers 2 because 2 is the good one. 2 is like blazingly fast. It is balls to the wall. They figured it out. Even though a lot of Sonic is on rails and like you're not actually playing, you're just watching the cool stuff happen. It doesn't matter. It feels so good to play Sonic 2. Sonic 1 has none of that. Sonic 1 might be, it's not even. So it was sold on the fact that it's faster than Mario. Nothing about the level design in Sonic is faster than Mario. You watch a Super Mario Brothers 1 speedrun and it's like mind-blowing how fast and well executed everything they do is. And then you go play Sonic and you're like, oh, I can't spin dash. Oh, I gotta jump on these fiddly blocks. Oh, every time I run fast, I hit a spring and something bounces me back. Sonic 1 sucks, but it is an absolute classic series. As we mentioned on a recent episode, I can't discount the Sonic games, especially in terms of just being a collectible for being the first Sonic game. So Johnny, Sonic 1, the retail variant, which will say, it won't say not for resale on it.
It won't have the sticker on the cart.
There's multiple different like not for resale stickers that might be on the cartridge of a Sonic. Just look for a pure black label, and then if you really want the first one, there is debate over whether this is the first, but no patent info on the back, on the very bottom of the case. P.O. Box 2167 is the address, and it says printed in Japan, not made or assembled in Japan. So printed in Japan, no patent info is all you really need to remember. There is another similar variant. I think it's the made in Japan variant. But our own Andrew Brim has a copy of Sonic that has a receipt, and the receipt is pre most documented US launch dates, and it's this variant. So I'm going with this variant being the first one.
Yeah, and if you can find the other rare variant, it's at the address is the 612 Wharf Avenue, right next to Gentlemen's Club. That's also a good one.
Wait, what?
That's a joke, Tyler. This gets a real deep cut.
Okay.
For whoever finds it. If someone enjoyed that, let me know.
Great.
It was real dumb. I just put it in there because in my head, anyone reads off an address like that, I get it in my head. It's 612 Wharf Avenue, right next to Gentlemen's Club. And if you know what that is, Tyler, I'll tell you after the show. I don't want to spoil it for anyone else.
Johnny, I looked this up on eBay. People tried to make this like a thing a year or two ago. They were buying
Remember,
these
it was like
out.
$200.
This game is not rare. Like, yes, this is the least common variant. Even like the first print one and all that. If you just search long enough, someone will eventually list this for $30. So don't worry about it. There's more people who have Sonic the Hedgehog than people who want Sonic the Hedgehog. So I would say don't spend more than $50. You'll probably find one that comes up. Johnny, what do you got for your first game?
I have Sonic 2, also not the NFR version, because again, I don't, if you remember how I did the last one, I don't like to clump a whole series into the first of my list because I don't want to just be like Sonic 1, 2, and 3. Like, I want to give a little more variety than that. Like, if all of my list was Sonic games, that would feel a little weird for me. Like, I want someone to walk in. Like, it's not just someone. I want multiple people. Like, if I'm imagining these 10 games on a shelf, multiple people walk through and each one of them can identify one or two games that they were like, yes, obviously they would recognize all the Sonic games, but I want to hit a few of them that were like that one guy's game. Like, oh man, that was the one I really loved. That wasn't Sonic, because like, really, it's Sonic, man. How do we fight the thing that is Sonic and the Genesis? Anyways. Sonic 2, because it's the good one, as you said, Tyler. Everyone likes Sonic 2.
Everyone likes Sonic 2. It's the best.
Don't buy an NFR. Get a nice clean copy, no NFR, no badge on the case. If you can find yourself a cardboard box version, that's fine. But like, really, just like make your life easy. Find a no NFR version. They're like $20. You can even find it cheaper than that, but I'm not listing things cheaper than $20. My assumption is any game that's going to be worth anything now, if it's not $20 and it's this old, then, I'm just saying $20 is a fine price to pay for it. You're not going to regret it in 5 years.
Yep. And I agree. It's funny because like Sonic 2 is a game like Combat where like you used to joke about just how balls common and worthless it is. And now we're saying like, yeah, spend $20 on a copy of Sonic 2. Get a nice one.
Yeah.
Johnny, the second game on my list is Sonic the Hedgehog 2. And yes, I did want to mention the first print it doesn't say assembled in USA on the bottom in that little text. So it's basically like made in Japan, except it just doesn't say assembled in USA. It's not a rare variant. I'm absolutely positive that you could go on eBay and just go buy one of these. I remember being at Portland 2 years ago, I think, and I started looking at all the Sonic 2s, and I found a couple of these no assembled in USA ones, and I'm like, and they're all like $10 because it's Sonic 2. I'm like, do I just buy these? Are these going to be like a hot item? Should I? No, there are enough Sonic 2s to go around. If Sonic the Hedgehog couldn't become a thing, Sonic 2 will not become a thing. So spend, $10-20 on your first print copy of Sonic 2. Johnny, I'm just going to say my next two games are Sonic 3 and Sonic and Knuckles. I'm going the full 4 Sonic games.
You might as well just talk about them all since you've got the full clap of Sonic. Go for it.
It's the same reason that we talked about on the What's Gonna Be Remembered episode. Sonic started the series. Sonic 2 is the classic best single game. Sonic 3, I think, is kind of a bad game. It's just way too short. And then Sonic and Knuckles is like a good game, but I would take like a Rocket Knight over a Sonic and Knuckles. But you plug Sonic 3 into Sonic and Knuckles, and it becomes one of the best platform games of all time. The whole idea of Sonic 3 and Sonic and Knuckles were they were basically releasing two halves of Sonic 3. I don't know what ridiculous nonsense happened at Sega. I don't know the story, but they released Sonic 3 as half a video game. And then this stupid lock-on cart, they're like, oh, we fixed it. We solved the problem of how to release this as two separate games. This is a great solution. No, it's a stupid solution. But when you do have the full game, oh, it's so good. It's challenging. It's varied. It's got such good levels. It's got Knuckles. It's absolutely amazing. So I'm not going to choose between Sonic 2 and Sonic 3 and Knuckles, even though I realize Sonic 3 and Knuckles is taking up two of my slots. From a collectability standpoint, no one is going to complain that you have too many Sonic games in your collection, especially for the Sega Genesis.
It's fine. I just wanted more variety for mine. And on my subsequent list, all those Sonics are there except for Sonic 1 because, yeah.
I mean...
Like, look, Sonic 1 definitely would earn a spot in the top 30, but I just... For the same reason as you, Sonic 1 is just not that impressive to me. It's cool. It's plenty cool. It's Sonic, but man, Sonic 2 is so much better. It's just a game to
have on your shelf. It's not the exciting gameplay game. It's just like it's Genesis, so you might as well get a Sonic, Johnny. Sonic 3, the clamshell variant. The more I know about Genesis variants, the more it just seems like not super well researched, and there's always like these little things. Just get a Sonic 3 clamshell. There are a bunch of different mega hit versions that you don't want. $50 for Sonic 3, maybe like 40, but I think you probably want to spend 50 on a nicer one like that. That seems pricey to me. That was not an expensive game at all in the recent
that was
past.
Like a $20 game. Sonic used to be Sonic and Sonic 2 were like $10 and Sonic 3 was like 20. Sonic Knuckles was like 25.
Yeah, and then Sonic and Knuckles has a cardboard box, so it's going to be a lot more condition dependent. It looks like it's around $75, which I guess makes more sense because it is a cardboard box game. I put this note here that there is a pack-in variant. There's some kind of not-for-resale variant of Sonic and Knuckles. And, like, you could... either way, I don't think it's a big deal because it's just a sticker variant. And it's probably rarer than the retail variant. But there is, like, a yellow sticker on the cartridge that says Sega on it that you can look out for, I guess.
Yep.
4 Sonic games to start with, Johnny.
Okay. Those sure are some games.
Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine, better game than Sonic 3. I'm just going to say it. Sonic 3 is way too short.
Dr. Robotnik was a game that I was not sure where to put. It would be like after my 30 honorable mentions, but
it's hard to, man, even as good as Puyo Puyo is, it's really hard for me to put a puzzle game over like a platformer or an RPG. I'm sorry, puzzle games, but like also, you know, you're a one-screen game. The depth of your thing is really interesting, but it can't measure up to a platformer to me.
See, the only one I made an exception for on that was Tetris back on the Nintendo one, because it's Tetris.
Yes.
I don't even know if I put it in my top 10. I didn't. I think I put it in my top 20, but not my top 10. So it's very hard. Same reason. It's hard for me to like wedge a puzzle game in there. Like Columns it's after my 30, even though it's like a well-known series and like was a big deal. It was supposed to be the Tetris for the Genesis, and yeah.
No, Columns is bullshit. Fuck Columns, but yeah,
Dr. Robotnik before Columns. But
yeah, Puyo Puyo, Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine. I would put that above Tetris in terms of like how much I enjoy playing it, but if we're going for collecting, like there's no way that's going to make a collecting list.
Yeah. Sorry, Red the Game Shark. Anyways, I guess you want me to rattle off a couple of mine, or you want me just to keep going in order?
Yeah, go ahead. Do whatever you want.
Okay. All right. Shining Force 2. This comes in a cardboard box only. It is, people are going to fight me. I'm going to tell you it's the best RPG on the Genesis. People try and tell you that it's like Fire Emblem. It isn't. It is a strategy RPG, but it's not exactly like Fire Emblem. I don't even like that comparison. This game is great. Shining Force 1 is also great. These are different than Shining in the Darkness. There is top-down strategy battles, but it does go into RPG-style battling. Once you get there, it is so good. Man, I love this game. It's been released, in all the collections. Shining Force 1 had a re-release on the GBA. But really, this game, aside from being in like collections, is kind of slipped into obscurity as far as releases. Like there hasn't been any like big promotion for it, even though the like Castle games that people are making this are still out there making games. Shining Force, the series still continues, but it has definitely moved far away from what Shining Force 2 was. And like, I'm going to tell you it's their best game. Shining Force 3 also really good, but Shining Force 2, man, chef's kiss, top tier.
Yep, and I definitely agree. I wanted an RPG on my list, and I picked Shining Force 2. And I like all of the Shining games. Shining in the Darkness, Shining Force, and Shining Force 2. Shining Force 2 is the best of them, and it's definitely the most collectible. And I think this might just be a factor of, like, as time marches on, people have less time to go and play, like, the longer classic games. Yeah. Like, 15 years ago, Shining Force 2 was a bigger deal, I feel like, than it is now, because more people involved with, like, the gaming discussion had played it, and more people were willing to go back and play, one of the classic Sega Genesis RPGs, Shining Force 2. Whereas if you were looking to go back and play classic RPGs now, and you're looking at, like, everything you could play between, like, PC, NES, Super Nintendo, Genesis probably isn't even a platform you're looking at. You'd be like, all right, I'm interested in Fire Emblem. Maybe I want to go play some classic Fire Emblem games, or just, like, computer RPGs, whatever. I feel like Shining Force 2 would not be one in particular that I go back to. No, I mean, personally, sure, I'll play Shining Force 2, but...
I agree with you, and it's weird because, like I said, the license is still out there. I keep, especially with this occurrence that's going on right now, where we're going back and we're making old games or Japanese games that didn't get released, and we're like doing remasters and stuff of them, especially on the Switch. A Shining Force collection that they remastered, you could not stop me from getting that, especially then if you were lining up a Shining Force 3 with all 3 scenarios on the Switch. Man.
I think...
How fast can I give you my money?
That's all they need to do, right? Like, steal the translations from the guys who translated Shining Force 3. Like, is that your property?
Shout out to Shining Force
works.
Central.
Just take that translation and release 1, 2, and 3. And put it in, like, $140 collector's edition, and all the collectors will line up to buy it. And then everyone will not play it, or just, like, play one of the games that they actually want to play. Because who's sitting there and playing through Shining Force 1, then 2, then 3? I mean, I'm just speaking for myself. If I bought so many collections of RPGs. Like, when I was playing computer RPGs as a kid, you go and you buy, like, the collection that includes, like, Baldur's Gate 2, Icewind Dale, Icewind Dale 2, and I played, like, Baldur's Gate and a little bit of Baldur's Gate 2. And it's like, I'm not going to play through, like, 4 entire RPGs. I got other games to play.
But that's what I'm saying. They even released those on the Switch. What is going on? What's right? The Shining Force collection?
I mean, maybe it doesn't have the cachet. I don't know, but yeah, definitely makes our lists. $170 you put. I just copied your price, but that sounds.
Yeah, it's about, like I said, about 170. You could pay a little less for that. Like, I've seen some copies 120. Like, but it's a cardboard box. Get it in the manual. Get a nice one. Spend 170. Spend $200. You're gonna be fine there. Yeah, it's expensive. It's spoiler alert, the most expensive game on my list, like individually without any conditions. It's actually tied, but it's a classic. Anyways, get it nice, get it complete, and if you're really snazzy, go find the guidebook for it too. And this is, spoiler alert, this is also on Tyler's list. So
that wasn't a spoiler. I already said that.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yep.
My next game, Tyler, you mentioned this, and it's funny that you mentioned it, but Rocket Knight.
Rocket Knight, Johnny.
This is a game not on the Super Nintendo. It is the predecessor to Sparkster. Like, what do you want? This game?
I mean, okay. You're going to introduce Rocket Knight Adventures as the predecessor to Sparkster. I mean, I understand Sparkster is a good game too, but
yeah,
Rocket Knight Adventures on its own is still a great platformer. The only reason it's not on my list is because I also have 4 Sonic games. So sorry, Rocket Knight didn't make it.
I'm saying it's the predecessor, but it's also, that's important because that's not Sparkster, Super Nintendo, and Genesis. Rocket Knight, a fantastic, great game, so good that it got a sequel that became cross-platform. Like, go get Rocket Knight. It's a Konami game. Like, I was late to the Rocket Knight party. I played this well after, like, as an adult, and man, Rocket Knight is really good. Have you played Rocket Knight, Tyler? So good.
Yes, I have played Rocket Knight. It was made by the guy who made Contra 3. Like, that guy He also made Contra Hardcore. Like, same dude. Like, that guy fucking rules. He's really good at making 16-bit action games. Like, Rocket Knight would be... Like, if I wasn't going for variety, Rocket Knight might be on my top 10. Because also, in terms of collectible cachet, I feel like it definitely has, like, the player cachet of people who, like, go back and play Genesis games, and I think it is pretty collectible as well. Honestly, it's expensive, but not as expensive as some of the other top-tier collectible stuff on our list, so I think it's a good choice.
It's not as expensive as Sparkster. And that's like a good game. There's like a collection of Genesis games that like I really feel like fly under the radar, even though they're like beloved, but somehow the greater collective universe doesn't identify them. Like people will talk about Sparkster. I don't hear enough chatter for Rocket Knight. Like I don't hear enough chatter
for Rocket Knight. Like what are you talking about?
Not
what universe do you live in?
I'm saying not in comparison to Sparkster. Like I just think it gets overlooked because it was a Genesis only game. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if it was Genesis only, but it definitely wasn't Super Nintendo.
Okay.
So,
all right, I'll disagree. I definitely think Rocket Knight is beloved and remembered. If I just think of like YouTube channels like Retro Bird or whatever that guy is, or like GameSack, like this is definitely a game they bring up.
Okay, yeah, I'm just saying I still don't think it gets the clout. Like what's more expensive, do you think? Rocket Knight or Sparkster?
I mean, I think Sparkster was the last Genesis manual I got, so I definitely know Sparkster's more expensive.
It's like $85, but you could also go play
Sparkster's $85.
No, Rocket Knight.
Oh yeah. No, Sparkster. I think 85. I paid almost $200 for.
Yeah, and like you'll pay more than that on the Super Nintendo. Yeah, Rocket Knight, $85 to $100. Go if you don't know about Rocket Knight, and you're in my camp where you came to it late. Like, go do it. What a good game. Okay, and I'm going to talk about a game not on your list, and this one I know you'll fight me in.
Maybe, yeah.
Okay, Altered Beast. You want to fight?
Why is Altered Beast on your list, besides the obvious reason that it's on your list, Johnny?
Well, it's on my list. Like, that was, before Sonic, it was Altered Beast. It's on the box.
What does that even mean? Before Super Mario Bros, there was Mario Bros, but it's clearly not as good.
No. I'm talking about when you bought the Genesis, the box is Altered Beast.
Yes. They indeed picked a bad game to be the original Sega Genesis.
Rise. Look, I'm just saying there's a lot of nostalgia. People think when you thought, like, when I was like, oh man, they got that cool game from the arcade. They got Altered Beast, and it's like, this is like the premiere game that they're showing off, and it's like, rise from your grave. Like, even though it's like a bad port too. Man, I always just thought Altered Beast was so cool. And again, if you look at the first Genesis, it's the face of the first Genesis. Like, also, my wife loves this stupid game, you know? So, like, and she was not like a Genesis kid, but she loved Altered Beast and identified. So that's part of the reason I put it on there. Like, I'm talking to that one person. I think it is the most questionable game on my list, but I think it is, even though it was like ported to the PC Engine and it's an arcade game, I, in my brain, 100% think of the Genesis when I think of Altered Beast.
It's like 10 minutes long. And it's like an auto scroller. So that's not like a speed run. It's just like the game is over in 10 minutes.
Yep.
And this was last year, maybe 2 years ago. This was on the LJN podcast where I got to see like I have a strong opinion. Altered Beast sucks. And the LJN podcast has like a wide variety of different perspectives. We got some Nintendo people, some younger people, some older people. And almost everybody hated Altered Beast. And I'm like, yes, good. I am correct in my opinion that no one likes Altered Beast. Except for Johnny. I cannot believe you. I understand from a collectible perspective. Yes, the original pack-in. Yes, it's a very Sega Genesis game. But for the rest of this list, now I have to have people think in their minds. Every game that you hear that you don't hear, Altered Beast beat it. Altered Beast beats Shining Force 1 because you picked Shining Force 2. Like, really? Altered Beast is better than Shining Force?
No. That's not how I
know. You wanted the variety. It's just the worst pick.
You know what? I also know how much you hate it, so I knew it would gall you to be on the list. I'd actually taken it off earlier in the list, and I was like, no, like it was actually down in the 30. I'm like, no, I'm going to put it in the first list because Tyler's going to be so mad about it.
If you guys want to beat a historic game like Altered Beast, like, You might be able to just beat it. You probably, it depends, but probably less than an hour. Like, you probably won't beat it like your literal first time, but Altered Beast is a pretty easy game if you play video games and are just can learn a couple.
What do you
patterns.
think is a more memorable game? And we both agree that Rocket Knight is fantastic. Which people, and if you're polling the general public, what game are they going to know? Rocket Knight or Altered Beast?
I think it might be even. I think Rocket Knight has more cachet because I think most people just don't care. If you know about Genesis, like I think as many people know about one of the best platformers as one of the most popular platformers. Like
disagree.
All right.
Hard disagree.
You see, the thing is...
Rise from Your Grave is in the cultural mindshare of gamers.
Oh, wow. We're going to disagree on that one.
Oh.
I don't think...
Bullshit.
I don't think anyone younger than the Genesis knows what Rise from Your Grave is.
Oh. All right. Hey, this is a
All
perfect
your base are belong to
opportunity.
us. That is something that is in the cultural mindshare. And even that is fading.
Yeah, it is. Agree. And most people don't know where that's from. But I'm going to tell you, I think that it is. And this is a perfect opportunity for all of our listeners to message us and tell us if Tyler is wrong or if Tyler is right. And Tyler loves to be right, so don't do that to me.
It doesn't matter. No one is going to agree on Altered Beast. If you're an Altered Beast
don't say
person,
it. Don't insult our people.
Just leave the Discord now.
Oh, I didn't say the Discord. I said the people. That's rude. That is rude. Anyways,
Johnny, I've got a good game for my next one.
Oh yeah. I think it's funny that you say this, but like, please don't talk about that one. Please talk about this one.
No. Genesis, I feel like, is known for its shooters because it has a lot of shooters, and I feel like it has a lot of pretty good shooters, but it doesn't have a lot of shooters that I would go back to and like want to get good at. Like, I don't know. I'm thinking of a game like Truxton. Like, Truxton it has some cachet around it. It's very fucking hard. I'll give Truxton that. I've never played Truxton and been like, wow, this is the game I want to sit down for 20 hours and just play nothing but the Genesis port of Truxton. Whereas, I don't know, Galactic Attack on Saturn. I don't know, how revered that game is. But I played Galactic Attack, and like the first time I sat down and played it, I'm like, this game fucking rules. And then I sat down and played it, like 4 more times immediately. But one of the game, if I was going to pick a Genesis shooter, it's not Musha, it's Lightning Force, Thunder Force 4. And actually, the full name of this game is Lightning Force, lightning misspelled, Quest for the Dark Star. I'd never even realized this game had a subtitle, but it is Lightning Force, Quest for the Dark Star. Weird. This game's $150 because it's a shooter. Whatever, you're gonna pay a premium for shooters, and it's a super fast horizontal shooter. And this is kind of a theme that's upcoming. I don't even like horizontal shooters. I think they are worse than vertical shooters in literally every way. But I'm still putting Lightning Force over Musha, which would probably be the two that get maybe the 2 most popular Genesis shooters in terms of like shooter fandoms. Lightning Force definitely wins.
Yeah, that and probably Guy Aries is like what, 3rd maybe? Maybe
I mean,
Thunder
I
Force
think
4.
once you get into like that 3rd place, like like Guy Aries, like I think there's people who maybe pick like Forgotten Worlds even or like Troubleshooter. I don't know. There's a lot of Genesis shooters.
The other Thunder Force games.
I mean, yeah, Thunder Force 3. Yeah. I don't know. Would people pick Thunder Force 2? Thunder Force 2 is a little weird. I don't know. But Lightning Force is the one that makes it for me. And this is where the list got weird. Like, Lightning Force, yes, it's a beloved game, but it's not like such a clearly no-brainer top 10 Genesis game. It's one that like I had to think about and actively put in my list because I wanted a shooter in my list. So, I don't know. Buy it. I would buy it.
Okay. That's fine. I'm not fighting you on. I think that's a good game. I think it's a fine choice for the list. Yeah, I like really, depending on what your vantage point is on Genesis, you could fill this list with like 6 shooters, easy, super easy. And I wouldn't be able to say like, oh, those are terrible choices. It would just be like, oh, you very clearly lean one way.
I would, if you put Arrow Flash on the list, we're going to say no.
I'm not going to do that to myself.
I hate Arrow. I need everyone to know Arrow Flash is a bad shooter. I don't care if it's like, oh, but it's good for people new to shooting games because they could learn how to play shooting. Arrow Flash it's a game where the power up is like you're invincible for like 10 seconds. It's ridiculous. It's not a well designed game. If you're looking for good Genesis shooters and Arrow Flash is on the list, just throw out the whole list. Like they don't know what they're talking about. Forget it. It's ridiculous. Okay. Every boss in that game is just I press the Arrow Flash button and then I just like wiggle myself on top of the boss and they die immediately. Every boss. All right. Lightning Force is more challenging. Yes. Also, Lightning Force also beats Musha because Lightning Force is more challenging than Musha.
It's also more accessible price-wise.
Sure. But whatever. If you're going to play it, you're just going to get it on Virtual Console or just pirate it. Collector's Quest, your place for piracy that people don't care about. What is the FBI going to knock on your door for downloading Musha, a $1,000 video game? I don't think so.
Yeah, but we're collectors, so you want the real thing.
Yes.
Anyways, I'm going to move on to mine. Comic Zone, do you want to fight me on this one?
Absolutely. Yep. Not as hard as Altered Beast, but
I think, look, I know you don't like beat 'em ups, which is probably your problem with this game. But Comic Zone, I think, is a beloved game, and it's interesting, like the way you go through comic book panels. There's just not a game that does it quite like this. Comic Zone is pretty unique. You know, there's like a European, like a PAL release for the GBA, which I keep meaning to pick up. I think it went to, it's on Windows too, that they were released like at the same time, weirdly. So this was like, you could get this for the Genesis or on Windows, but this is just like a wholly unique Genesis experience, mostly. You know, the Game Boy Advance version came out, good date, September 11th in 2002. But yeah, like, what do you want? This is like, you don't like this? I'm weirded out that you like, I know you don't like beat 'em ups, but you don't think Comic Zone?
I played Comic Zone with a group like a couple of years ago. I forgot what it was for. Maybe it was some game challenge or something. And I feel like everyone's thoughts in it was pretty much the same. That like the style, like 10 out of 10. Like Comic Zone could be made right now and it would be like one of the best looking games that you could play. Yeah, the style is amazing. It's crazy that there aren't more games that look like comic books because there are like a couple of retro games that did it pretty successfully. There's like that Batman Amiga game. And like Comic Zone looks like the best. It looks like a comic book. The art style, amazing. The animations, everything is amazing. And then the gameplay, it's like you get one life bar to beat the entire game. I'm pretty sure you might be able to earn like an extra life. Like it's one of those games where you're like can earn an extra life if you make it like 2/3 of the way through the game. It's not fun. There's beat 'em up aspects to it. It puts you in a lot of these one-on-one fights with enemies. And I don't like getting into prolonged battles with enemies. I want Ninja Gaiden where I just slash a guy and they're dead. And this is more puzzly and it's got items and you could use the items in the wrong spot and fuck yourself. I don't know.
I thought that would make it better, like, because you just hate how basic the beat 'em up genre is. I thought like these were the parts that would appeal to you.
But like the fighting system in Comic Zone doesn't feel good. I mean, there is something to it being a classic because of how cool it looks. And like it's renowned, but I don't think people particularly like it for the gameplay. No one's like, wow, Comic Zone is a well-designed action game.
I think Comic Zone is more something you experience than you're like, yes, the best game ever.
I don't endorse playing through games with save states, but if ever there was one, just to see how cool it looks, like the deaths and grinding through Comic Zone a single life bar is not fun. So sure. Save state your way through some Comic Zone.
Hey, here's a fun fact about the game. Did you know that this game was based from an Amiga demo called Joe Pencil Trapped in the Comic Zone?
I sure didn't, but it feels and looks like an Amiga game. It seems like a game where water droplets harm you, and fuck, Europeans love that shit. So, yeah.
Anyways, yeah, that's a fun fact. Also, hey, here's your collector's fact. This game, and if you didn't know, because you didn't look right at the box, comes with a bonus CD. So
I think it has like a huge star flash on the box that says,
yeah, it's so ugly. And also, the character's design for the lead character is so 90s. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's pretty
yeah. So if you're like into that aesthetic, if you like shorts and like combat boots and like ripped vest, man, this game is for you. How do you feel about fingerless gloves? Why not? Hobo or artist? No one knows. It was the 90s. Anyways, it comes with this dumb bonus CD, which I think is called like American Dreams or something. It's like a really basic demo CD, coming in like a white case. There's like an American flag on it. You can find it individually. Like loose. You can find this like came in cardboard slip cover. You can go out and find that if you don't have a complete copy. If you are trying to collect yourself out, you want to get the one with the CD, but the price range varies. So this is a cardboard box only game, first off. So know that. Pay a little more for a nicer condition one. It's going to run you $65 to $75 for a nicer cardboard one, maybe even $80. But if you want that CD, you could wind up paying upwards of $150 to $200 on that. And I've seen the CD individually sell for like $50 to $100 too. Just depends. I've also seen it sell for $10. So I don't know. If you're into that kind of thing, go look for it.
I'm looking right now. I remember looking on Discogs for this CD and I couldn't find it, and I ended up having to buy another copy of the game.
It will show up. I have a save search, and I've seen it cross eBay a couple of times.
God damn it! What's the CD called?
I think it's called American Dream. I should have written that into our notes. Let me go to my eBay save searches.
All right. Well, good luck finding this on like Discogs. Oh wait, Sega Tunes Comic Zone. What the hell is Sega Tunes? Featuring music from the popular video game. Wait, there was a CD. There's a soundtrack CD release of the Comic Zone soundtrack. This looks like it might be German, but there's one on Discogs for $40. I don't know who was buying this, but it was released in 1996.
Like, yeah.
All right.
Anyways,
good luck finding that Comic Zone CD. I think Comic Zone is a game that is relatively common sealed. I don't remember if that's actually true, but that might dampen the price of the CD, which is good.
Anyways, go buy it if you want to.
Johnny, my next game is Streets of Rage 2.
I want to fight you on Streets of Rage 2.
Oh, all right. It's actually on here for a lot of reasons.
Okay, you don't like beat 'em ups. You gave me all this shit for Altered Beast because you don't like it.
Well, okay, yeah, but I don't like Altered Beast is just a bad game anyway. Streets of Rage,
you
I feel like...
say that about Streets of Rage 2, though. You think beat 'em ups are bad and poorly designed, all of them, and boring.
It's true. Yes. I think, I don't like beat 'em ups just like I don't like horizontal shooters, but I think Streets of Rage 2 is probably my favorite beat 'em up. There's a problem with that, though, because part of the reason I like it so much is that it's relatively poorly designed, I feel, especially Axel. Axel is just broken in Streets of Rage 2. He has a special attack. It's forward punch, and he does basically a Shoryuken, and he's invincible when he does that. So literally the entire game of Streets of Rage 2, I spam this one special attack. It's the way like every 9-year-old wants to play a beat 'em up like this, where they figure out like the broken special attack, and they're just like special attack, haha, and they just play through a 45-minute game doing nothing but that one broken attack. That is exactly how I played through Streets of Rage 2.
Makes me want to run out and play a video game. How enjoyable.
Oh yeah, I mean, but all beat 'em up suck. So whatever. Like it's I'm just breaking a genre that shouldn't exist in the first place. But it's a super identifiable Genesis game.
I don't disagree, but I'm not the guy constantly like using beat 'em ups as my personal toilet.
Yeah, they're garbage. You know, I like Streets of Rage 2. Not 2, TOO. I like the first one. In the grand scheme of beat 'em ups, I do like that. Like Final Fight, garbage. And I'm not just saying that because I can't beat it, but God, I played so much fucking Final Fight 1 and I can't beat it.
Go get Dungeons and Dragons. Do that one instead.
On like the Saturn? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, the
just
Saturn.
Making sure you're not talking about something weird. Dungeons and Dragons, fun fact, if you have a MAME cabinet and you have 4 players and you have more than 3 buttons for your third and fourth player, like Dungeons and Dragons is one of the only reasons to have that. I like finding people with stupid MAME cabinets with too many buttons and just going like, hey, what are you using 6 buttons on player 4 for? Give me one game where player 4 uses 6 buttons. And they're just like, I just drilled the holes. Yeah, Streets of Rage 2. Find the not for resale version because there's a lot of not for resales. Johnny, I put it about $60.
Okay, that makes sense to me.
A deal for a 7 out of 10 classic video game.
7 out of 10. Wow, rough.
Yeah.
You are so mean.
I do not like beat 'em ups.
Fair enough. That's why you put it in your top 10. Got it.
It's for the collectability, Johnny. Gotta get.
It's not a top. I know it's not.
No,
top
it's
10
even
list
worse.
ever.
So
What?
Streets of Rage 2, like beat 'em ups and fighters are probably the closest genre to each other, and like so Streets of Rage 2 is taking the place of like a Street Fighter 2 or a Mortal Kombat, a game like I 100% like more than Streets of Rage 2, but the exclusivity. Wait, is Streets of Rage 2 exclusive? Streets of Rage isn't an arcade franchise, is it?
I don't think so. I think it also like Streets of Rage also has a like my argument there too is also featured on a Genesis box, a cool one.
Wikipedia says arcade.
I mean, it's possible. I think people know it from the Genesis.
I don't. What the hell is Sega Mega Drive based Mega Play hardware? I don't know. Whatever the fucking arcade version of this is, it's a Genesis game that was basically ported to arcades. So I'm just gonna call it an exclusive. It counts.
Okay.
And we're not considering Game Gear and all that shit.
Nope.
All
right. So let's talk about one we share real quick. This is an easy one to cross off our list. Castlevania Bloodlines. Yeah, agree?
Yeah, agree.
Good game. Underrated Castlevania game. If a Castlevania game can be underrated.
Do not agree that it's underrated, but still a very good action
if it
platform
could be
game.
Underrated. If it could. I think it just gets lost, especially in its time period, because it was a Genesis game and it doesn't have the cachet of like Rondo of Blood coming from, the PC engine. Like it was just in that time frame. There was a lot of like really important Castlevania games made right then. And this one just wound up becoming the least of them, but not because it sucks or it's bad. It's interesting. We've talked a lot about Castlevania Bloodlines on this podcast, a lot about Castlevania in general. But this is one that actually tries to follow through some of the Dracula storyline from like the book, and you get some other interesting people in it. What do you want? It's a good game that kind of diverts from the normal Castlevania formula while still being a Castlevania game, and it's on the Genesis. I mean, sure, you could tell me that you like the Japanese one, like that's the better one to go get because you get better blood and a cooler title. Sure, I agree. But if we're just buying US Genesis games, this is the one for you. It's about $175. There are multiple copies of this game. Go get the one that's in a clamshell. Just make your life easy. Sure, like a Genesis cardboard version, there's about a flip top or a slide box. They're out there. You can get either version if you want. And if you have those nice, they look really good. But also, usually they suck. So just go buy a clamshell and get a nice color manual with it, not a dumb black and white one.
Yeah, I agree. The clamshell is the one to have. Johnny, also, I heard someone say that they prefer the cardboard one just because it's condition sensitive, and my copy's cardboard. But it's like one of the nicest games in my collection. It's got like the shrink wrap and everything. But I do kind of want a clamshell one too.
So, like, for a long time, that game you could find new old stock of, like, sealed on eBay.
Okay.
And, like, they were usually brutalized.
Oh, really?
Like, the cardboard boxes. Yeah, like, I think to find a really nice cardboard one is hard, like you said. But we're talking, like, a basic shelf. And, like, if you're moving them around and if you definitely want to play them, just make your life easier and get the clamshell. But agreed, condition sensitivity, like, a super nice cardboard one that's graded at like a 9 or something is probably going to look cooler than a basic ass clamshell. Also, I don't love Genesis clamshells. I did a complete about face on Genesis clamshells.
I was there with you when like we have totally changed our opinions. Especially just the way the manual flops around is the worst.
Flops around and the paper just gets nonstop dented and sliding. Yeah. You know what?
Cut off like the hang tab sucks and people cut off the hang tab. Like either way, the hang tab is bad. It's nothing about the Genesis case. The only thing that's good is it kept the condition and people kept them.
Agreed. All right. Now that we've shit on Genesis,
I just want to say, there is a group of people who are like, Castlevania Bloodlines is so good. It's the most underrated Castlevania. And I don't know, I don't know where they come from, just because I think all the other Castlevania games are also so fucking good. Like, if this was Castlevania 3 or something and people were like piling on Castlevania 3, I'd be like, yeah, Castlevania 3 is like clearly one of the best action games ever made. But because its competition is other Castlevania games, I'm not going to go and call it underrated. I think a lot of people love this game. And I think at least it's hard for me to say. For me, I think of the classic Castlevania platformers, this is the hardest one for me, but that might just be because I've played the other ones so much.
Like I said, it steps outside of the formula a little bit. Like you're fighting Elizabeth Bartley and stuff. Like also, like it's just a different style of Castlevania. It's still Castlevania. It's still very clearly Castlevania, but it is enough different, especially, and I think they wanted that, like, so there was some separation from what was going on Nintendo. But yeah, it's just a slightly different experience. I think some people say it's underrated or they like it best because I think they like rooting for the underdog or the one that feels like maybe it doesn't have as much exposure. And every other Castlevania game has more exposure than this,
sure.
Like from this era, right?
Yeah.
And even you had Symphony of the Night. After when you get to like the DS games, like whatever, you can talk about like which one has more exposure, but like of the era where Castlevania was at the top, no one's talking about Bloodlines. So like maybe they're talking less about the Game Boy ones, but yeah, Bloodlines was just like the stepchild to the series.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, because when people think of Castlevania in general, they're thinking of the first 3 games, and then they're thinking of it on Nintendo. Or if they're thinking like, oh, the best Castlevania game ever, they're thinking of Rondo. So this gets lost kind of no matter how you think about Castlevania.
Yeah, or they're thinking of Super Castlevania because people like, if they were just never even exposed to Rondo, they're like, oh man, Super Castlevania is so good, it's the best, it's a 5. I don't know why I would say that, LJN.
Super Castlevania, yeah, like most people consider it the best Castlevania game, Johnny. And I like bringing that up because people get mad every time I say it, but it's right. I don't care. It's
people do, but not everybody played Symphony of the Night either. So, and they are enough different that it could be jarring for that individual to be like, I really like Super Castlevania. What am I doing in Symphony of the Night? This is not what I wanted to do. Even though Symphony of the Night is a 10 out of 10 classic. Fight me if you want. I don't know why you would lose. But, like maybe one of the best games ever made, in my personal opinion. Anyways, also, here's one more knock against this Castlevania. Man, the box art, not good. I don't like it.
Yeah, I'm there with you. Not my favorite Castlevania. I mean, it's going up against Castlevania games, which kind of have cool box art, but yeah.
Yeah.
Johnny, give me another one.
All right. Let's talk about one that isn't on your list, and you can tell me why it isn't. All right?
Yeah.
Castle of Illusion.
Johnny, let me talk about my list for 1 second before you get into Castle of Illusion. I have 4 Sonic games on my list. Okay, continue.
I just think Castle of Illusion, it was like one of those games, and forgive me for my broad strokes here. I think Castle of Illusion was a game that suddenly, like, Genesis did this thing where I think they targeted girls better than Nintendo did. I think Genesis was looking at the time for some of these games. They did like the Beauty and the Beast games, but like putting a Mickey game that was like also cool was just like rounding people together. Like you could get some boys into this and girls might like it because it's Mickey. Also, what a cool setting and just a fun, good game. Yeah, Castle of Illusion is a classic. They did a remake on the Xbox 360. Like what was that? Like 12 years, 15 years ago now. Like even that's old now. That sounds horrible that it was that long ago, but it probably was. What a fun game. Do you not like Castle of Illusion? Do you have problems with this on my list?
Johnny, I have, there are a lot of platformers in the 8 and 16-bit era. So I have some pretty high standards for platformers of the era because it's pretty easy to get lost in the shuffle. But no, I love Castle of Illusion. I think Castle of Illusion is awesome.
Okay, great.
It's not going to make my top 10 anything, but like super duper charming game. Like all the animations, just the feeling of doing a stupid butt bounce with Mickey. Like the backgrounds are all animated. Like, yeah, it's just a really nice looking, very polished game. It feels like, I don't know. it feels like someone at Disney was cracking the whips to make sure, like, you better put the magic into this game. I want to see sparkles when Mickey jumps over this platform. It's not so hard, good. But like it's a little bit challenging. And like there are some Disney games that like Chip 'n Dale. People like Chip 'n Dale, but like Chip 'n Dale is no challenge. It's kind of a nothing game. Like there's a little bit to Castle of Illusion too. I think it's a really great. It's
well designed. Yeah, it's very well designed.
There's a reason people love it.
Look, a spooky tree, witch in a moon, castle. What am I not to love about this, Tyler? This gets to be in my Halloween list too. This is like, man, so good. Anyways, like I said, broad generalization, but I think it did a good job of capturing younger audiences, the kids that were a little older, both boys and girls. Like, so I think if you're going to put a game on your shelf and you like want people that's going to like capture people's interest when they walk into your room, I think people are pointing at Castle of Illusion. And that's why I put it in this list in my top 10.
All right. I don't think it's a terrible pick.
I keep saying top 10, but it's like first 10. Yeah. Anyways, what do you got?
Johnny, Contra Hardcore, which is
okay.
It's just a game that beats Altered Beast. I can't believe Altered Beast is on your list. I grew up.
I'm gonna tell you.
I grew up with Contra 3, and Contra, and Contra Hardcore is like just as good as those games. And also Super C, like Super C I only played as an adult, like Super C is just as good as those games. And Contra 4 on DS is still awesome. Like kind of every Contra game rules. I don't know about Operation C or like See the Contra.
No,
right.
Legacy.
I don't know about the spin-off stuff. I haven't played those.
Once you get into PlayStation, like
Okay. I'm going to call the mainline Contras Contra 1, 2, 3, 4. And like, I don't know why Contra Hardcore isn't there. It's weird that there's there's two 16-bit versions and one gets to be mainline and one doesn't. I don't really know why that is, Johnny.
I mean, I think it's just, I think it's the same thing that happened with Castlevania. They just want to differentiate enough.
Like, canonically, it is a sequel to Contra 3. But, like in story, like, I know no one cares about the Contra story. I don't care about the Contra story, but I don't understand it. But you know what? It doesn't matter because like everyone also loves this game. There's nothing to say about Contra games. You run and shoot and it is really fast. And like all the things, all level design, all the enemies that die in one hit. Everyone loves the Contra games, Johnny. The only thing I have to say about this is you want the clamshell version. And this is a variant that I feel like not many people know about because it is very, very hard to spot. In the logo in the top left of the box, actually, let me bring up the box right now. Yeah, it's a Konami logo.
White.
Right under the Konami logo, in almost invisible white text, there is a variant that says Classics. It's basically the greatest hits of Konami. It's Konami Classics. But it, like literally, if there's a low enough resolution picture, you won't even be able to see the text. That is how thin the text is. But if you really want like the first print, you don't want the word Classics under the Konami logo.
And you will find that on, I believe, Tiny Toon Adventures 2, the cardboard box version.
Yeah, there's a couple of them. I don't know them all off the top of my head, but that's a Konami variant to watch out for.
I remember looking for a very long time at cardboard boxes of Castlevania, seeing if I was going to find one. And I didn't. Doesn't mean it doesn't exist, but I looked for a very long time.
Ooh, yeah.
And back then, cameras were so much, when I was looking, cameras were so much worse.
Go on eBay. So, Johnny, go find it.
I don't want to. I already wasted part of my life. I don't want to go back.
All right. Johnny, I would personally buy Contra 3 because I'm a biased little nostalgia kid. But Contra Hardcore is $130, and you could buy that too.
Oh, I don't think we said the price of like Bloodlines. You're going to pay about $175. Also, like I think we said get the clamshell, but yeah, about $175. All right. Yeah, I agree. I think that's a really good choice. And I knew you would take that one. So I did put Gunstar Heroes on my list as just another run and gun, something that kind of fills that same slot. They're not exactly the same game or anything like that, but Gunstar Heroes made by Treasure. It's a beloved game. It's, I think, a very fun shooter. And this is something I was introduced to later. GBA. Interesting that it's there. But yeah, I just think that it's pretty good. I didn't even first play it on the GBA. You know where I first played this game? On the Wii, when they put it in the store.
I might have first played it on the Wii too.
Yeah,
because I was way into Virtual Console.
Yeah, what a good Virtual Console collection you probably have.
I mean, I don't know where that Wii is now. I probably have like 3 Wiis just because it's one of those consoles.
You should probably figure that out.
Why? I have a real copy of Gunstar Heroes.
No, what if you want to play it? It's a joke, Tyler.
God damn it, John. I've got like a Mega SG, whatever the thing is called.
Anyways.
I told my story on Collector's Quest of like having to wait outside a guy's house for 45 minutes to get my copy of Gunstar Heroes because he priced it at like $40. And then like as I waited at his house, and then after he finally like came home from work or whatever, he realized he priced it too low because of how many people contacted him, and then he didn't want to sell it to me. And he eventually reluctantly agreed to sell it to me for literally all the money in my wallet. You know, it was like $59 or something. It was the worst Craigslist experience I ever had. It was so awkward.
It sounds exactly like a Craigslist experience, though.
Yep.
God. People wonder why we're just like, fuck it, go to eBay. Because you don't have these kind of dumbass hassles.
One thing I will say of why Contra Hardcore is definitely a superior choice to Gunstar Heroes. Recognizing that Gunstar Heroes is like very boss focused and like it's a treasure game, right? I'm not crazy.
Your treasure.
It's like quirkier and more unique. I think Gunstar Heroes has infinite continues. It's like one of those games you could just blow through. And yes, I've realized you could set the challenge for yourself by not continuing. But I'm a normal person. That's not how I play video games. When I play a game with infinite continues, I just press start until I beat the game. And Contra Hardcore is hard as fucking balls. So if you want a challenge, Contra's the way to go.
Yeah. And if you don't, then definitely Gunstar Heroes. Anyways,
there's so much Gunstar Heroes that's just running to the right and watching explosions. Is that just the genre? Maybe that's just the genre. Maybe it's just
the genre. Yeah. Like, look, you're going to find that in your Metal Slugs and all these type of games. It's like, it's what you're doing. Just go enjoy this one for what it is. Go pay your $150, get this game, and feel good about it.
It has that Instagram swag to it.
It does have some swag. Also, like, it's not a franchise you would see on Super Nintendo. Like, you're not going to get any cross-pollination. No one be like, oh, I like Contra 3 better.
Yeah, there would never be a sequel to Gunstar Heroes on a console that is very comparable to the Super Nintendo.
Look, I'm not saying they're right. I'm just telling you the shit you're going to avoid. Anyways, Gunstar Heroes. Like, you're probably putting Gunstar Heroes in your top 20 or 30, right?
I mean, maybe. Like, it would be a pure collectability thing for me. Like, yes, it would be cool to have a Gunstar Heroes, but...
All right. Anyways. Plus, if you like shooters, here you go. Here's another one you can play on the Genesis.
No, there's no... I'm looking at the games we didn't put on our list. Like, I don't know, X-Men 2, Mortal Kombat, Virtual Racing. Like, no, I'm not putting Gunstar Heroes on my list. There's too many games I love. If I'm doing, like, a personal list for me, definitely.
Well, yeah, well, we're talking about start your collection, not personal.
Start your collection by splashing. What do we got? Like $800 worth of games here.
Yeah, so
I know how it is. This is how I would start my collection, though. Like, I would go after the good stuff and not load up on EA Sports games.
Yes, but I mean that's what I'm saying. But these are games I feel like also if you buy, you're not going wrong with. None of these games I feel like you've made a mistake. I know you're going to say that's wrong because I put Altered Beast on my list, but aside from that. I did think about this. I think it's interesting how much cheaper these lists are going to be than the Nintendo list, even though I'm saying like, oh man, this game's $150 and people don't want to pay $150 for a lot of games.
Yeah. I kind of had the opposite reaction of like, wow, Genesis games are expensive for the good stuff now. Cause like half of these games are well over $100.
Yep.
But,
not your Sonics. You can get 3 of your 4 Sonics games for $100.
Man, what a deal! Yeah, get Sonic 1, 2, and 3, guys. John, I'll say Altered Beast. It can't be like that wrong of a pick because you're only going to pay $25 for it.
Yeah,
and then same thing with Castlevania Bloodlines. Like, yeah, sure, it's $175. Like, I don't see that going back down to like a $50 game anytime soon. So whatever enjoyment you get out of owning it or playing it, you will probably be able to get most of what you put in back out of it.
Agreed. What's in that? What else you got on your list?
Well, there's only one more, and one more for me, and we both share it, Johnny. And I'm happy we both have it on our list. It is Toe Jam and Earl, which is
a classic.
Classic. One of the most iconic Sega Genesis games. There's a really common poster that comes in a bunch of Genesis games. That's a Toe Jam and Earl poster, I think. It's a roguelike 2-player exploration-based game. Like, it is, combat is kind of de-emphasized. There's almost like a stealth element to it at times. Different game every time you play. There's like one set level, but you can randomize a level, which is obviously like the real fun you're gonna have with the game. 2-player simultaneous co-op with dynamic split screen. Toe Jam and Earl's fantastic. Unlike anything out there, like, yeah, you could say it's like roguelike games, but there's zero roguelike games that are like Toe Jam and Earl. And I like the style so much that I like the sequel that everyone apparently hates. But Panic on Funkatron might make my top 20 if we're extending the list that far.
We definitely have a top 20. We have the next 10 for Patreons coming soon.
Yeah, Toe Jam and Earl, $90, but oh geez, that's a lot of money.
It's a game that's just been creeping up, and I think rightfully so. I don't think that's wrong. Again, iconic. Toe Jam and Earl. When Toe Jam and Earl came out, and you had the Super Nintendo, and people were like, "Look at Toe Jam and Earl." There's nothing. There's just not a comparable. Toe Jam and Earl, and like the name, it's called Toe Jam and Earl. Like, what is happening?
I feel like if I was a Super Nintendo kid and someone brought up Toe Jam and Earl, by the way, I didn't play Toe Jam and Earl as a kid at all. I only played it as an adult, and like 100% holds up. Like, I would look at the game and I wouldn't understand what it is. It's just like you walk around a map and get presents. Like, nothing about it looks appealing to me. Like, you really have to play it to get it, I think.
It's also very 90s. It is also capturing a time frame too.
See, like, this is why Toe Jam and Earl, it's like Comic Zone. Like, Toe Jam and Earl has the style, the substance, and the originality, whereas Comic Zone really has mostly the style. And I think it's a very similar, like, 90s vibe to it, that Toe Jam and Earl just replaces Comic Zone.
So, I mean, that's why they're both on my list, because I definitely want to copy that feel. Though that, given like how I do my normal criteria, I may have moved Comic Zone down into the next 10 and something else up. Like maybe like Rystar or something. Spoiler alert.
Yeah, the thing is, like, yeah, because I have 4 Sonic games, like, I can't even consider games like Rystar and Rocket Knight, because it would just be all one genre. And the Genesis, turns out Genesis has a lot of good games.
Agreed. All right, I have only one game on my list. We told $90. Make sure you get it with all the stuff. All the stuff that's in it. Isn't there something? Does it come with its own poster?
It might come with its own poster, but that's like a really common poster. Like, you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah. But if you're gonna buy it, you might as well. Might as well just do
$90 on a video game. Yeah, get it complete.
Yep. So, my last one, and I know you don't love this one either, and I put this on here mainly just because this was like a Genesis kid thing. Like, they're like, oh, we have our own version of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. We have TMNT Hyper Heist. And I'm not saying that's bad or anything. It is maybe more leaning towards a collector pick. But if I'm thinking of games that make me think of the Genesis, it does not share the same name as any of the Super Nintendo games. This was like, Genesis kids were always like, we have our own thing. And the box art looks pretty cool. I put it on my list.
All right. I agree. The box art's, you know what? I think the box art has too many logos. Looking at it now, because the Konami logo is the same size as the Turtles logo.
I'm thinking really more of the, like, yeah. I know that's there. I'm not even like really thinking about those things. I like the art itself in the background. Like, I know this obscures and makes the box art worse, but I wasn't really thinking about that.
So
also, the city should be a manhole cover, but
yes, this is like 1,000,000%. Someone drew this box art. It's the turtles standing in a city and they're looking down at a manhole cover. Like 1,000,000%, it was drawn with a manhole cover, and then over the manhole cover they pasted like an entire city, like a tiny mini city. It looks like they're looking at a miniature city,
which makes no sense.
What is going on?
It makes sense. but like, so like the turtles, the art of the turtles and the city around them, like they look good, like it's compelling. And then the city is definitely not the same thing. You're just like, what is happening here? Like this is like like I know I just said the box art is good, but I'm talking about the absence of maybe the graphic artist took a shit on this box for some reason. He had diarrhea or something. I don't know what happened.
Yes. So why this is definitely not making my list, Johnny, is for a reason you already mentioned. You said that when we're considering the most collectible stuff, it's going to be games that aren't on the Super Nintendo. And yes, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the Hyperstone Heist is not on Super Nintendo, but it's basically Turtles in Time. And if you were putting it head to head against the Super Nintendo, no one is picking Hyperstone Heist over Turtles in Time. I'm not saying Hyperstone Heist is a bad game. I'm just saying it's not Turtles in Time, and Turtles in Time is the one everyone remembers. It doesn't even matter if you could like put them A and B against each other, and there are some things you like about Hyperstone Heist even more than Turtles in Time. That doesn't matter because just the cachet and what everyone remembers. Turtles in Time in the arcade, Turtles in Time ported to the Super Nintendo, and then there's this weird clone of Turtles in Time on the Sega Genesis that's like, okay, it's different. But also, you have to play this with the Sega Genesis controller, which sucks, so that automatically makes Turtles in Time better.
Look, I'm not, this isn't a comparison to Turtles in Time for me. This is someone who collects Genesis games, and we're talking about games that speak to other Genesis collectors. They're walking in and they're seeing this. And they'd be like, oh shit, I loved Genesis as a kid. I love Hyper Heist.
I want to go play Streets of Rage 2 and Hyperstone Heist back to back. Like, I wonder if I would maybe agree with you and change it to Hyperstone Heist. Because, I like Hyperstone Heist. I might even like better than Streets of Rage 2. Because, like, yeah, I everyone likes Turtles in Time. I like Turtles in Time, even if I don't like beat 'em ups. But the thing with Hyperstone Heist to me is that, like, I will always see it as the lesser version of Turtles in Time, even if it's essentially an equivalent game. Just because I like Nintendo more, I like Super Nintendo more. I have memories of playing Turtles in Time in the arcade and on Super Nintendo. I've got like both them going. Like there's too much stacked against Hyperstone Heist as being just like that's like the B version of Turtles in Time.
I'm not saying you're wrong.
I gotta play it again.
I gave you my reason. Like
right.
I stand by why I put it here. Like again, like I said, I think I would capture that one person who's like, oh man, I did this. This was the one I played, and this is for them.
Johnny, you can't throw enemies at the screen in Hyperstone Heist. I didn't remember that.
That is a big detractor.
That's some bullshit.
Yeah.
All right. Johnny, those are our 10 games. You want to... I'm just going to recap all of them if that sounds good to you.
Hold on. Yeah. Hyperstone Heist, $150.
Oh, yes.
There you go.
Or Sealed, one sold for like $70,000. Great buy. Really solid buy there. I don't care how rare it is. What the fuck? You know
what's weird to me? I mean, now I'm like caught up on the art because in my mind I'm always like, man, I like that Hyperstone Heist art. But then we really took a good look at it because before I was always just thinking, yeah, Turtles looking into a man cover. But then you're like, what is going on with the logos? And I'm like, oh yeah, the logos. And then I'm like, yeah, that city should just be a manhole cover. And now I'm down on the art and I feel bad now.
I'm sorry I did that to you. Turtles in Time is pretty good art.
No, you're not. No, the Super Nintendo box art for Turtles in Time is atrocious.
Is atrocious?
Yeah.
All right. Absolutely. It's just like a spiral. It's got like a Back to the Future 3 train coming out. It's got Raph surfing on a hoverboard. I mean, all this bullshit fades into the background, and I just think of, Raphael on the hoverboard because that's really the cool part of the logo.
Yeah, see, and I don't like that. Like, there's too much going on. I don't know what all this is. I said atrocious, and maybe that's too strong. But Raph is my least favorite Ninja Turtle. I know.
Oh, 100%. He sucks.
Yeah. But I know people are going to want to fight on that. So I don't love him being featured. Size, least interesting weapon. Don't care. Fight me. Yeah, just I found Raph to be really one note. And the box art, it just didn't do it for me.
No, Johnny, we're adults. We like Donatello, okay? That's just how it goes.
That's right. Donatello is the best.
Donatello is the best. And if you're an adult, you will agree.
Anyways, not that I think the art is bad on the box. I think the art, I think it's well done. This is a game that would definitely, the art would be better suited to not a Super Nintendo box. and like
because it's like kind of realistic, not realistic, but you know what I'm saying.
it's
I kind of
like
get what you're
smushed.
saying.
Yeah,
Oh, you're saying just like because it's crammed into the box.
the format. Yeah,
I want to
Oh my
see
God.
the vertical Super Famicom version of the. Oh, actually, I don't think the Turtles in Time Super Famicom box is as exciting. Anyway, Johnny, we're on an audio podcast. Talking about box art is probably
Yeah.
the worst thing we could do. I'm just going to recap the first 10 games you should buy for the Sega Genesis, Johnny.
Sure.
My list is Sonic 1, 2, 3, and Knuckles, Lightning Force, Streets of Rage 2, Castlevania Bloodlines, Contra Hardcore, Toe Jam and Earl, and Shining Force 2. Your list is Sonic 2, Shining Force 2, Rocket Knight, Castlevania Bloodlines, Altered Beast, Comic Zone, just 2 wrong picks in a row, Castle of Illusion, Hyperstone Heist, Gunstar Heroes, and Toe Jam and Earl. Either way, I mean, I think some good games. I think no wrong picks except for Altered Beast.
We'll agree to disagree, but yeah, I think. Look, I think this would be a fine first 10 games to have on the system. I think I think you would be pleased if these were your games.
All right, Johnny. Do
Collector
we want to
picks.
move on
Let's-
for some 3 quick collectory picks that we would
Yeah.
start if we wanted to really splash out like
Yeah,
$3,000
if you're like-
Sega Genesis games?
Yeah, like let's say you've already gone deep and you're already past like 30 games, 50 games, 100 games on the Genesis, and you want some bling for your shelf. This is bling stuff. You just like, I want some bling. I want people to ask me questions. Why am I putting this box face forward on my shelf?
John, I'm going to start with a really obvious one. Musha.
Yep.
Not the rarest Sega Genesis game. It is kind of hard to find. I'm not going to call Musha like overrated in rarity. But if you look at like, the rarest Sega Genesis games ever, this is not number 1. Like Sparkster is probably just as rare as Musha. But yeah, Musha is super good. The only problem with Musha looks super good. Talk about one of the best looking best Genesis games. I just think Musha is too easy. So make sure you get that warranty card because you will be spending $1,000 for a copy of Musha. But the hot tip is that, oh fuck. What's the game with the same warranty card as Musha?
Oh,
Hellfire. Hellfire that's like a $200 game, I think, has the same registration card as Musha. So you could probably, it took me forever, but you could just harp on that save search, find a copy of Hellfire, and I'll probably sell it for a little bit less than you bought it for. And obviously for $1,000 game like Musha, like having that registration card is definitely worth buying the copy of Hellfire for.
or
All right.
don't let such inanities trouble your mind.
Johnny, I mean, $1,000 is a lot for a video game. You might as well
sure
get
is.
the registration card for it, especially
Sure
if there's
is.
like an alternate, cheaper way to get it.
Look, go get it. There's going to be a reason you're going to look at all the Hellfires and they don't have warranty cards with them.
Yes. All right, give me one. Give me basically the other one that's going to give you mega swag.
I mean, we're super basic here, but go buy Crusader of Senti. At one time was not even considered close to being Musha in price, but now it is a cool $1,700-ish if you want to buy it. And here's a big thing to know about Crusader of Senti. It's basically like people say, oh, it's the Zelda of the Genesis. Kinda, it plays a little bit like that, but it is not exactly that. Like, don't put your expectations into that. It's a perfectly good game. You can find it. Oh, what is it called? It's not called Sentinel. What is it called? In PAL in Japanese. You can play it other ways if you don't want to spend $17.50 for it.
Doesn't it have kind of a cool name in Japanese?
What is it called? Yeah, I'm just gonna look real quick.
It's like something land or Ragna Senti. That's it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's people always just call it a Zelda clone. And that's like, I think, being a little unfair to this game.
I think
Does it do a
people
lot of the same-
also call Beyond Oasis a Zelda clone, which is
Also not correct.
wrong because that's like a beat 'em up. Like, I don't know. Do people just like look at screenshots when they make these comparisons? Because
I think so.
I also disagree with a lot of this.
Yeah. Anyways, it's a good game. Is it $1,700 good? I'm gonna leave that for you to decide. I used to find this game for $100 and it was like, wow, this game's $100. And then it became like a couple of $100, and then it was 3 and then 5 and then we got $1,000 and then man, it's just crazy. Beware of this game. It is cardboard box only. I've had to tell people numerous times that they'll find the cardboard box cut up and put into a clamshell. That's not it. Okay. The PAL version of this game is called Soleil or something. Soleil. Yeah, that's it. So you can also find it, a PAL copy of it. Ragnosenti is the Mega Drive Japanese version.
Sure. And is this rarer than Musha? Probably. And it has a cardboard box. So man, you were screwed.
So, yeah, condition sensitivity. Even the strategy guide for this book or for this game now is now like $1,000. People want to charge for
the
that.
Manual, you mean?
No, not the manual.
Oh, the strategy guide is $1,000.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah, like
you
people
Atlas
trying
weirdos?
to get that money. Yeah. Anyways, that's the other big thing about it. This is an Atlas game in America, and there's people who just collect Atlas games regardless. So it's got that kind of crossover appeal. But if you want to splash out, do it. You want to turn that game face forward and put it on that top shelf. Let people know what you're about. Crusader Senti.
All right, I'm gonna say, I don't know. Like, first of all, yeah, like $1,700 for a video game. Fucking whatever.
It's a lot.
Does Crusader Senti have as much swag factor as Musha? And literally, this could be the box art and the genre alone speaking. But like Musha's box art, like the fire, the orange, it is so distinctive. It's got like the huge logo on it. And like Crusader Senti is like, it's a fantasy game. Like my eyes would be drawn to a Musha in someone's collection before a Crusader Senti. Like I mean, that's just me personally. But Crusader Senti is like a cool game to have. I don't think it's worth $1,700.
I mean, I don't think Moosh is worth $1,000 either.
I mean, that's also true. Yes.
Yeah. So
you should get the much more sensibly priced Lightning Force and Beyond Oasis.
Yeah, like if we're coming strictly from a player's perspective, but this is like you're splashing out. You're a collector. You want people to know you mean business. That's why we're spending this kind of money. You want them Instagram likes, then don't buy Genesis games.
Like, what is
But
the,
if you did, these are 2 of them.
All right. My second one, Johnny. Action 52. It is no
Gross.
secret. I love Action 52. It is so crazy that there's a Genesis version with 52 different games. Or like some of them are the same. Like there's like Cheetah Men is also on this and it's like completely different. Super cool. The cool part about the Genesis version though, no one cares about this because all the conversations, all the YouTube videos, everything about Action 52 is focused on the NES version because obviously it's NES. It's got like an angry video game nerd episode, all that stuff. So Action 52 on Genesis, like people just aren't looking for it. There was a sealed, graded copy of this game. Like it's a pretty rare game that sold for $200, and it wasn't like a shit grade either. It was like, I don't know, like an 8.5 A+ or something.
That's an anomaly.
Yes, it's an anomaly, but it's just showing you that no one is looking for this game.
True,
and like there isn't a huge amount of supply either, but like it's a rare game and 0 people want it. So it's probably more than $200 even for a complete in box copy. But that would be my second game for my collector's swag pick. I think it's so cool.
So this was an 8.0 and it's a CGC. It was a CGC 8.0, if that matters to you. But it wasn't even $200. It was $185. Like, how much did they spend to grade that game?
I'm looking up. So, I mean, we're talking about all these prices, and obviously I finished my Genesis set a few years ago. So, like, all these prices seem crazy to me. I might have paid more than that for my complete in box Action 52 on Genesis.
Yeah. 100%. I think I probably paid close to $150, $200 like 10 years ago. And it was sealed. Anyways, like now people are going to ask for like $300 for it. They're going to try and get that money. But as Tyler said, there isn't the demand. So just maybe be patient on this one. Guess.
But, all right.
Also, the boxes are also cheaper cardboard than even the regular cardboard Genesis games. So be careful about that.
I'm trying to give me another collector pick.
Okay, so I have something I'm doing here. When I think when you want to like really splash out on the Genesis, I think showing a Mega Drive game, like, oh look, what else look what else Genesis or Sega was doing at the time. So here's like a cool one. Alien Soldier. Everyone likes Alien Soldier. It's like talked about quite a bit. I think getting like some of the either PAL or Japanese Mega Drive games that are sought after looks pretty cool. There's some big ones that are out there. Like the biggest one I think is like Eliminate Down, which you're gonna pay like $2,500 for. But I think Alien Soldier, like a lot of people have played and there's lots of versions that have been, cobbled together for that you can play on the Genesis. You can go pay $40 and get a copy that'll run on your Genesis. But I like Alien Soldier as a piece that you could like be like, oh look, and then get people to ask about. Like, you have all these cool games. I don't think I ever played Alien Soldier, and then you could tell them a story about Alien Soldier. Another treasure game. It's another treasure game. I said it wasn't in North America. That's not true, Tyler. I lied to you.
Oh.
So it was in North America. Kinda. It was on the Sega Channel. Which is like the cable thing. They did
that totally counts. Yes, everybody remembers playing Alien Soldier. I just want to say, for the entire time you were talking, I've never played Alien Soldier. I don't know anything about Alien Soldier. I thought you were talking about Alien Syndrome, and I'm like, what the fuck is happening right now?
Oh no, Alien Soldier.
Yeah, Alien Soldier, completely different game.
Yeah, no, beloved, and it was like late too. It was like 1995. I want to say. I'm looking now. Yeah, 1995. The Sega Channel. You can get it for like $400 on PAL and like $500 Japanese, and like $50 if you want to play it in the U.S. on a bullshit cart.
That's expensive. Get those cool treasure games. It's so cool. Tyler won't even know what it is because Tyler doesn't know anything about video games.
I'm surprised you didn't really know that, especially since it's a treasure game.
I mean, I'm not I do like treasure games, but like I'm not like a treasure fan. But also,
I know.
Mega Drive, like Japanese Mega Drive, is just like the most inaccessible thing. Like for whatever reason, every Mega Drive game is just really expensive. So I've never even considered collecting import Mega Drive games.
They are like I have a list that I want games like Eliminate Down, but I'm like, am I feeling like spending like $2,100 to $2,500 on Eliminate Down right now?
Yeah,
no,
I don't know what's going on there. Like Sega is a Japanese company. Surely these games exist in Japan. Oh, the Mega Drive box art's so good though. Just like the Super Famicom. What an era for box art. Yep. Johnny, I'm gonna say for my collectory pick, a New Leaf cartridge.
An interesting
the thing. Blockbuster flash cart, like a prototype program, like it was like a failed program where Blockbuster would burn a game to a cartridge for you instead of giving you the real cartridge. There was this New Leaf program, and then it turned into the Game Factory cartridges. That's it.
Whoa, there it is.
Yeah. So the New Leaf cartridges, they're really strange because they are very rare, yet they have both been found and come to market all at once at times. So, like, I guarantee there's no New Leafs on eBay right now. But, like, when they have come to market, it's been, like, 3 are on eBay right now, and no one knows what this is or wants them. So they sell for, like, they could sell for, like, $300. Like, that's the one that I bought. Yeah, if you want a cartridge that no one has and maybe no one cares about or will care about, but is also really rare and a little bit interesting. Yeah, I like the New Leaf cartridge.
Man, I'm still salty about my New Leaf.
Maybe you could sell it to someone.
Cool,
I'm hyping it up for you, Johnny. New Leaf, I don't know. Is it worth $1,700? I think New Leaf might be cooler than Crusader Senti.
So, you can buy the Game Factory. People try and say there's a red one. I've never seen a red one. It's only green and blue. And people are trying to get like over $400 to like $700 for those now for the Game Factory versions. Wild, right?
I wouldn't pay that. So I'm doing this off memory, but there was a guy who had like 8 of each for sale, like a ridiculous amount on Facebook. And I asked him if he would sell me his nicest green one because I think my green one's a little fucked up. And he didn't respond to me. But he had like a bunch for sale, and I think they're in like the $250 to $350 range. But yeah, they are kind of pricey. But I mean, those Game Factory cartridges are pretty cool.
They are cool. Look, as someone who owns them, someone who owns like the quadrology of Blockbuster stuff, I think they're cool.
Yeah, you and your just casually dropping that you have a Blockbuster World Championships too. The rarest competition cartridge in maybe all of video games. I mean, it's not, because there's like 1
no,
and 2 offs of
Campus
some
Challenge.
of the stuff, but
Yeah, Campus Challenge.
yeah.
Anyways.
Rich Lecce passed away, and his collection is somewhere. I swear to God, at some point he said that he had a red Game Factory cartridge. That might come to market at some point if that stuff doesn't just get filtered through whatever back channels. I don't know. I assume someone is helping his wife sell all of his garbage, and it probably is taking a hell of a long time.
I always assume that the New Leaf is what they mean by the red. Even though that's like black, but it has like the red logo.
I absolutely don't care enough to look it up. I swear there's an Atari Age post where he specifically claims to have a red one, and there's like one of two known or something.
Yeah, like none have ever come to light after that. So like that would be like a weird runoff. Maybe the printer gagged on the color and or was like missing it. I don't know. I've never seen it. I don't like until I see it. That post has been around for so long. I've been reading about a red New Leaf for 20 years and have not seen it.
All right. I mean, yeah, you're right. If there's show me the picture or get out. I agree.
Yeah, I hope there is one. I hope there's one. Then I can be like, oh, it's real. And I I still have New Leaf and Blockbuster cart put into my eBay search. So, maybe one day. I'll tell you my last game, Tyler. Are you ready?
What do you got?
Twinkletail. You know about Twinkletail?
Yeah, this game is way cooler than Alien Soldier because I don't know what Alien Soldier is.
Well, I think a lot of people like Twinkletail. Like it's one of these it's not quite a cute 'em up, but it is a vertical shooter. It's great. Like it's very collectible. It's like a $500 game. So
I'm not gonna. It's definitely not a vertical shooter. I don't know what the genre is
what
called.
am I saying?
It's like a top-down run and gun shooter. It's Pocky and Rocky is what it is. If you play
Pocky and Rocky. Sorry, not vertical shooter. Yes, Pocky and Rocky. Do you like Twinkletail? Have you played it?
No, I haven't played Twinkletail, but I played Pocky and Rocky, which looks like the same exact game.
So Twinkletail is one of the games when I was getting into Genesis that I really wanted to play. So I bought one of those like bullshit carts that I tell you not to buy.
Yeah.
And I bought it because I really wanted to play this game, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is amazing!" And I called it a cute 'em up because what's the game that's the cute 'em up version of this?
The cute 'em up version of this?
I mean,
Cotton?
it's kind of
because you play a little witch.
Panorama Cotton. Yes.
Okay.
Panorama Cotton, like witches and shooting. But no, this Twinkletail. This game. There was like 3 games that I put on there. Spoiler alert. One of them is Undead Line that I also loved. It was like one of like 4 games I got. Like I had a friend who was really into Genesis and told me these were the ones to go play. And Twinkletail is a pretty good game. It's, what would you say? Oh, you didn't play. You just know Pocky and Rocky. Like I would say it was a little hard, but I'm also bad at these games. Like I'm super bad at Pocky and Rocky. But yeah, I thought this was a little hard, but not too hard.
All right.
You wanna go pay some big dollars? You wanna pay like $550 to like $700, depending on which edition you're getting? Yeah,
I sure don't.
Was there like a dumb re-release of this game too? Oh man, I think there was a dumb re-release that like came out that was like
one of those like modern like repro type things.
Yeah, I think so. Well, I don't know if that's exactly right.
Wikipedia doesn't mention it, and it usually mentions like, oh, and Castlemania Games put this out in 2018.
Okay, cool. There is a lot of... One thing to look out for when you are buying there's a lot of fakes. Sure. Same with Alien Soldier. So any of the Mega Drive games that are super expensive, be careful when you're buying them. I don't think the fakes are particularly good, and I don't think that they will fool people, but they are definitely out there. There is a manual and a little insert that comes in this. If it has the little Japanese insert, it goes for more money. So, like, as with all inserts. So, just be...
More stuff is more money. Good insight.
Yep, like, I'm just saying, like, it is such an innocuous looking I think it's their version of a warranty card. It's so bullshit looking. Like, you might think it was a piece of pack-in trash, like, and toss it. But do not do such a thing. Keep all the junk-looking paperwork with your games.
All right. Johnny, we got anything else to talk about with the
No.
Sega Genesis?
No, just like me fucking flubbing and calling this Panorama Cotton instead of Twinkletown. You know, no big deal.
I don't think you did that, but you did mess up some other things. You said New Leaf when you meant to say Game Factory. It's all right. I'll fix it all in editing. There was a time, like when I just started editing, I would literally have cut out you saying the word Game Factory at some point and fixed what you said and try to make it sound natural. But fuck that. Are you kidding me? I don't have time for that. No. That's ridiculous.
No, you don't have time for that. What? That's wild that you did that.
Yeah, I multiple times I did things like that. Johnny, Genesis is a pretty good console. And you know what? I'm going to say high-end stuff in Genesis is maybe just like not worth it. Like in an objective sense, like let's look at something like Musha or Crusader Senti. If I was spending $1,000 on a video game, I'm not spending that on a Sega Genesis game. And it's not because I don't like Sega Genesis. It's just whether it's the gameplay or the rarity or just the clout of owning it, I think you could do so much better with a cardboard Nintendo game than the high-end Genesis stuff. And I know Crusader Senti is a cardboard game, but whatever.
Let me put this into perspective.
Thank you. Yes.
Just like on your list, you could pay $1,000 for Musha, or you could buy every game on Tyler's list for $950.
Ooh, that's a good comparison. And yeah, and
there you go.
All the Sonic games, and you also get Lightning Force, which is basically the comparable game. Yeah. Yeah, you should do that instead.
Same for my list. My list comes in at under $1,000 as well. Just like a couple dollars, $15 more than Tyler's list. So
yeah, that's a fun coincidence. Maybe it's because you picked a slightly more expensive games in general, and then you also picked Altered Beast, Johnny.
Yeah, I mean, you picked the cheapest game on this list. No, we both did.
Yeah,
Sonic 2, yeah. And that's a great pick. You should definitely pick that up.
Johnny.
But like, I wanted to just talk about, like, remember I was going to go back to the Nintendo list real quick just to tell you that, like, for Nintendo, this is such a, hold on, we have like ranges in here, both of us. Your list started out with Zelda, the TM version, spending $1,000 to $1,500 on it. Okay. All right. So, well, if you're a Nintendo collector, this is the one.
That is a better buy than Musha. Like, Musha will be forgotten by history. I know that, like, there will always be this era of YouTube videos that are like, when you're looking at Sega Genesis games, Musha's the rarest. But I don't think Legend of Zelda will be forgotten by history.
I don't think so either.
You know, I think people might like that.
We did a whole episode where we said it wouldn't be.
I know. And now that we made that episode, like, I think about that whenever we talk about games like this. I think, like, I'd look at Musha for $1,000 and it's like, are people always going to care about Musha? I don't know. So, or do people even care about Musha, or do they just care about the clout that comes with owning a Musha? Like, has it just become a self-fulfilling prophecy of a collectible game where it got clout about it and now people are buying it to get clout kind of thing? So that's increasing the price and making it a more collectible. I don't know.
I don't know either. Again, for comparison, the Nintendo list, if we were saying our top 10 to start, or our first 10 to start collecting Nintendo, man, my list was like $2,600 and yours was very similar. Yours was more expensive.
Get a different hobby. I don't know. What do we...
Yeah.
Collect modern games. Maybe, like, all these people I see that, like, just have collections that, like, stop at, like, basically the year 2000. Like, because, yeah, I want to collect stuff. It makes sense. Like, the act of just, like, massively hoarding stuff is pretty fun to do. And you can't do that with NES anymore at these ridiculous prices. But, yeah, you can still kind of do it with PlayStation 2 and Xbox 360. So I totally understand people just say no to all the cardboard and cartridge stuff.
So I just want to tell you what your list cost on Nintendo. Do you have a guess?
Yes, $2,600, because that's what you said.
No, that was my list on Nintendo.
Oh, let's see. I would have got, Mario, Zelda, Metroid. Let's see. I'm going to say my average price was like, I don't know, Nintendo, $200.
You had Gimmick on your list.
No, that doesn't count. I want the Japanese Gimmick.
Yeah, you have Mr. Gimmick on there, and you have it at $5,000.
You put You put the Mister. Tyler's
didn't.
only buying the real shit, which is the
You put
Japanese
Mr.
Famicom gimmick.
You typed that in there. I did not type that in for you.
All right, what does my list cost?
Your list with that cost $8,975.
Wow.
But you also put a range of $1,200 on that. So that could come down. Your list could come down to like about $5,000. But still, that is $5,000 is a lot different than under $1,000 to get your first 10 Genesis games.
Sure.
Anyways,
What a deal.
I just
Sega
thought,
Genesis.
I thought that was a fun comparison. And like on even Super Nintendo, if we're comparing generation to generation, your list was $3,600.
Yeah, all right. I mean, I guess that makes sense. And yes, the best stuff would be more expensive than Super Nintendo, and the Genesis is less.
Yeah. And more historically relevant. Like we've talked it through. I just think it's interesting that it exists.
Yeah, and then you could also look at the 10 first Sega Master System games you'd collect, which are none of them. Sorry, because we talk about collectible consoles here on the Collector's Quest podcast.
Oh, I mean, what about Sonic with that sticker, huh?
Yep. That sure is the cool version of Sonic that everybody loves and cares about.
Sonic, a game we both think is great.
Yes.
Even better on the Mega Drive.
Like, I'm thinking, like, do I even like I might like the Master System. Sonic more.
You like the Master? Like, oh man.
I mean, they're both not Sonic? Great.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong about that. I played it more because that's the same exact thing on Game Gear, right?
Yes, pretty much.
All right, whatever. Yeah, it's totally different from Sonic 1. It's just a different game. Anyway, no one cares. Johnny, let's go to a collector's question.
Okay, let's do it.
NZ Collector asks, are there any games that were canceled or became lost media that you wish were released?
Did we answer this already?
No. NBA Elite 11, Johnny?
No, I mean, like, depends. I would have really liked to have seen what Final Fantasy VII looked like on the N64. I don't think it would have been better.
That is the weirdest pick, because it would be garbage. It was canceled for a reason.
Well, it was canceled because it went over to PlayStation.
Yeah, because they had those hot CDs, which Final Fantasy VII definitely needed.
What's the... There's like a bunch of RPGs that were like in development that went away, and I don't have like a good concrete answer for this because I try not to think about the things that I don't and can't ever have. For me, if you like, it's not lost media because Shining Force 3 exists. We're just talking about Shining Force, but the other two parts never came to America. And I know that's not exactly the question, but it was scheduled and it was supposed to, and it never happened. And that always irked me. But I don't have like in my mind one game in particular that was canceled that I could never play.
Okay. I mean, I've got a few, but they're all kind of obvious. Like PT was at Silent Hills. It is like everybody loved that demo. It's crazy that they didn't make that into a real game. I don't understand. Like people were buying PlayStations that had the PT demo on it for like a premium because it got delisted from the store.
So wait, are you sure we didn't answer this? Because I thought we talked about Penn and Teller.
Jenny, what the fuck are you talking about? Are you serious? No, because another one I would have said was StarCraft Ghost. Because StarCraft Ghost was the Half-Life 3 of the 2000s, although Half-Life 3 was also the Half-Life 3 of the 2000s. It was like over 10 years that they strung us on, like StarCraft Ghost was coming out. Because I was way into StarCraft, and then early 2000s, I was way into first-person shooters, and it's like, holy shit. It's like the Metroid Prime moment. They're taking something cool and making it a first-person shooter. Which, yeah, I'm a teenager. That sounds awesome. And there was news about it for like 10 years, and then they canceled it. And then recently, all I could think of is Prey 2 was a pretty big cancellation. I didn't even particularly think Prey was great. But
I thought Prey was bad. I did not like Prey.
Prey 2 looked really cool. I guess it was too ambitious or something. Did it have like a freelancer vibe to it? It looked like just like open space world type game. Anyway, I think people probably follow modern games more than I do, but that's all I could think of recently that got canceled. And now there's so many games to play that like I don't care. If something gets canceled, it's like there's 10 other games for me to play that come out this week. So
I'm gonna go back to Penn and Teller Smoke and Mirrors.
Oh, that would have been, are we? Yeah, that would have been a cool game if it was released. All right, Johnny. If you were to make a significant move out of state, would you try to sell off most of your collection or undertake the process of moving it?
Tim, I just deja vuing. Like, are you sure we didn't answer these two in the episode that's not yet out?
Johnny, I don't know. You're freaking me out.
You're freaking me out.
Did I get rid of all my my Discord reactions? No, because I still have my Discord reactions up. What's going on? Anyway, obviously I would move my games. I have already I have a lot of pinball machines, and I have resigned myself to the fact that like if I was to move, I would say at least up and down the East Coast, like I might make multiple largest U-Haul trips to just get all my shit. Cause like, I got like a couch and TV and stuff. Yeah, I might like just pack up all my pinball machines rather than selling them. I don't know. But like games fit in boxes. I could stack as many boxes in a truck as I want. There's no way I'm selling my games. Also, it would take me years to sell enough games to make a difference in like moving. So,
and the ones that would sell wouldn't be the ones you wanted to sell. Like all the chaff from sets that you would want to get rid of to help ease your move. Like if you couldn't sell whole sets, it would just be what a nightmare.
Oh yeah, like I would probably want to sell like my Xbox games or something, because like that's probably the thing that fits into my collection least, or like my Wii games. And like, what am I gonna do? I'm gonna start selling individual Wii games or Wii lots for like $10 for 10 games type lots.
And you could just stick those very easily in a box.
Yeah. Are you sure we answered those already, Johnny?
No, I'm not. I don't remember this. It's freaking me out.
Anyways, all right. Well, those are your questions, already. Johnny. If we already answered them, I'm sorry, but those are the questions. Yeah. I'm not going to go over more. No. Same with Tyler. I'm not selling stuff to make it easier on myself. Weirdly, I have considered like my Batman pin. Like that would be the most annoying thing to move if I was moving out of state or like over a long distance. Like the Batman pin, it's just like I guess I would have to ship it. Like I think I would have to pallet ship it. Man,
I just wouldn't want to deal with it.
Pallet shipping it. It makes more sense to like just sell it and buy a new one. But like with pinball machines, it's like, am I gonna find a Data East Batman where I move? Like probably not, or it's gonna take months for one to come up.
It's like either that or just take the legs off of it and put it at the very front of the truck and just strap it as hard as I can without and take out like the glass. And pack the glass up. Glass is probably safest. Sitting in the thing.
You put a piece of cardboard in between the glass and the thing, and you just strap it together.
Yeah, and if the glass over the playfield breaks, that would be really annoying and messy. But you can get another piece of glass.
I mean, they're transported all the time, so
yeah, they're
not going to break. Johnny, I also forgot, I own a big ball bowler from the 1960s. It's literally a 16-foot long bowling alley. It is
I know
the worst thing ever, and I wish I didn't buy it. But yeah, I would sell the fuck out of that thing.
You should sell the fuck out of that. You should just get rid of that anyways.
Yeah, I know I should. I just, it's not broken, but like there's things that could be fixed that would be low effort to make it worth a lot more money, because obviously 100% working, it's going to be bought by an old man who doesn't want to work on it. So I got to make sure it's like 100% before I sell it, and it's a beast and I don't want to work on it. So
I think you should make that part of your 2023 goals.
To get rid of my big ball bowler. I mean, there's a lot of things I want to get rid of. I think it's going to be a downsizing year more than a, FOMO fill up all my spaces year.
I mean, how big a downsize would just be moving that out of your life, except for all those games that are sitting on top of it?
See, it's like basically a shelf, and like under it, I've got like all these like garage type shelves, like just like drawers full of, I don't know, straps for strapping stuff down in my car, like garage stuff. So the floor space is going to be the same.
All right. True.
Johnny, what are you buying? What are you playing?
Tyler, I'm not buying anything.
Good.
That is video game related. No, not good.
Oh,
Tyler,
wait, you're buying Magic cards, though.
Yeah, I've been... So, for those who don't know, I play Magic the Gathering, and I've been working on finishing my Vintage Cube, and I decided, I'm not really buying any games, so I guess I have some money I can spend, and I bought, like, some Collector's Edition Power. Not all of it, but just a couple pieces. So that's very expensive, and that took up all of my fun money. Sorry, guys, that's not very exciting.
Johnny, this is the... I don't think I bought anything, like, period. Not even, like, bullshit from Japan that hasn't arrived yet. I did place a bid.
Oh, Tyler, I lied to you. I bought one game. Did I say this last time? I bought Metroid Prime Remastered.
Oh,
it came.
Oh, so you got something really collectible, like a game that's worth hundreds of dollars, like really rare and not going to be reprinted.
No, it's like a game I'm definitely just going to play on the Switch. I'm going to play that though.
Yeah, sure. One of the best games ever made, Johnny. And I don't care what Jay from the LJM podcast says. Metroid Prime rules.
Yep.
Sorry.
No, you were saying no bullshit stuff from Japan.
Yeah, no, I got nothing. I literally bought nothing. It's crazy. I feel
anything?
like I'm being really disciplined. Did I play anything? Johnny, I played Return to Castle Wolfenstein. What do you think? No, I'm not going to say Divinity or anything like that. I played Return to Castle Wolfenstein. I thought
you were going to talk about your NFT game again.
Oh, I literally, Johnny, I spend over an hour walking every day because of that. Don't play NFT games. They're all a scam, but it's keeping me healthy, and don't worry about it. You will definitely lose money. Yeah, Return to Castle Wolfenstein. You played Return to Castle Wolfenstein?
Vaguely.
Okay, so the big thing when it came out in like mid 2000s, like 2004 maybe, Enemy Territory was an expanded multiplayer mod for it, and I don't remember the circumstances, but they just released Enemy Territory as like a 100% free multiplayer game. And this must sound so strange if I was talking to someone who grew up in the 2020s or something. Like, yeah, what? Fucking Fortnite. Fucking every multiplayer game I play is free. I play Overwatch 2. Like, the free-to-play is just, like, the model now. But there was no monetization. They're just like, hey, here's this amazing video game. And we fucked up somehow, so here, just have it for free. And it was, like, the premier, like, full retail quality free first-person shooter. And I played the fuck out of it. So I decided to go back and play some Return to Castle Wolfenstein single player. And the single player is pretty good. I really like the engine. It's a very standard for the time, military FPS with like a story, very linear. It's not Call of Duty in terms of how realistic and varied it is, I will say. But that's still a very good game. I think the multiplayer maybe more than the single player a little bit. That's fun. Played some of that.
Well, nice. Yeah, I like it. Okay. So that's it for the show. Tyler, where can we find you?
Johnny, I'm on the Discord. I'm Default Gen, Default GEN. And that's pretty much it right now because I deleted everything.
Did you delete Insta? You out?
It takes like 30 days to delete all that stuff, but I deleted my Facebook and Instagram. Digital Hermit, let's go. Get off the internet. Get outside, kids.
All right. So you can still find me kind of on Instagram. And just because if you message me there, that's still the best place. I will see your message. Or even better, I said best, but even better is if you reached out to me on Discord, which you can find me at Johnny_Iucci. That's JOHNNY_IUCCI. And that is it. We've done the thing. We did the show. Thank you so much for listening. If you want to talk to us on Discord and get to our Patreon, the thing is, or if you want to talk to us on the Discord, you can do that just regularly. If you want to be a part of our personal Discord for the Collector's Quest, you do that by going to patreon.com/Collector's Quest and joining up for $2. And if you want the extra bonus content we put out sometimes, that'll cost you $4 a month. Thanks so much for listening. That's it for the show. Tyler, thank you very much. Good night and bye.